Up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah. I think that we've all had enough. They know that we're calling it wrong. Hey, it's too late to try to go contain it. A generation fueled by creation. We live lives on a small screen nation. We control the airwaves, no negotiation. I refuse to think we need saving. Something good will come from creation. And when we think that the world is too anxious, we'll adapt, evolve, survive, and save it. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sovereign Soul Unchained Mind. How's everyone doing tonight? A lot of shenanigans and crazy shit happening in our world here this last week or so. Thought we'd just take a little time and cover some of that, get some discussion going about it. We got Burn the Corporate Fiction with us here tonight. How you doing, Ryan?
Hey, what's going on, Sovereign? How you doing?
Doing great. So I just saw in the news here a little while ago, they shot down a second object, an unidentified object over Alaska.
Yeah, I've seen that. I actually just watched a video. There's this guy. He's got his handle on the Facebook Reels or whatever he's on TikTok. I don't know. It came across my Facebook, but it's Night God. He usually has some pretty good. It's like Night God 333 or something. But he's usually got some pretty cool videos with some interesting stuff. Like he pretty much backs it up with, or not pretty much, he backs it all up with facts and stuff. He doesn't never seen him get too deep into anything, but they're interesting videos, right? And then he pops up with this one where when they shot down that balloon, somebody was filming it and they caught a glimpse of something that flew through the sky right by the balloon, right after the balloon got shot down. It flew through the sky like so quick. So he actually shows on his video, he shows the video of the balloon getting shot down. And then you see this thing zip by like super fast and he slows it down frame by frame. It's pretty interesting, man.
Well, this thing that they shot down over Alaska, supposedly they're saying it was bigger than a car. About, just a bit bigger than a car. And they're not saying it was a balloon. So the thing with that balloon, what gets me, all right, first off, this is just the balloon. Oh no, they found our balloon. Isn't China supposedly a satellite capable nation? Don't they supposedly launch and shit up there? Didn't they go put a thing on the moon here in the last couple of years and everything?
Supposedly, right?
And I thought they had like their own space station up there too, don't they?
I imagine.
Nobody ever sees that one though.
It's
So
smaller.
what I'm wondering, my first question was, why would you need a balloon to gather intelligence when that's what you have satellites for? That makes like zero sense. You've already got bunches of them up there. In fact, their technology is hardwired into almost all of our shit, anyways. So, why would somebody who has satellites and is satellite capable rely on a primitive balloon?
Well,
I mean,
here's my
how do you even
thinking.
control that? Isn't that at the mercy of the winds?
Here's my thinking is that it's actually something else altogether. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff in the making right now. It seems if you look at the videos people are putting up online, just on a regular basis. You know, with the just a little sidebar of why I'm actually a fan of these reels and stuff is because they've taken the platform and it's the perfect platform for spreading truth. And I'll tell you why. Because it's 30 seconds to 2 minutes of information, which is about the time span or the attention span of today's people, this generation of people. You know, everybody's only got like 2 minutes at max that they can focus on something before they keep scrolling. So these people have gotten good at injecting this information in a short period of time. I'll send you this video, man. You should see the way Russia. This is for real. You should see the way Russia, their media, is talking about us, man.
I can only imagine. You
Oh
know,
my God, dude! No,
before we get off to that, this is another thing that, yeah, I mean, these are just some of the suspect shit about their balloon story, right? And they're saying this has happened. They've got hundreds of these things all over the place, right? Now they're all over the place. And China's had a program now, apparently, for a long time with these balloons. And nobody fucking knew about it. Nobody saw these things before that. Don't they have a thing called radar? Aren't they, able to track when some kind of a foreign object comes into, airspace? That's ridiculous, man. And
well,
so I have to wonder the validity of that. And then I heard him start floating this idea around about an EMP, and I'm calling bullshit on the EMP. Okay, there's no EMP, just like there's no nukes. Okay, if there was an EMP, if there was such a goddamn thing that they could knock out all the fucking power and everything with just a little pulse and shit, somebody would have fucking done it by now. They haven't. They won't.
no, it's interesting. It's one of several things. All right. It's either like a very low tech, spying device, essentially, that because Biden and the Democratic Party are in China's pocket, he had allowed it to, go ahead and scan the whole country before he shot it down.
Well,
you know what I mean?
No, that don't make any sense at
Well,
all.
right.
They
It
can do
doesn't
that
make
from
any
space
sense, but I'm
already.
saying that is an option. I'm not saying that makes sense. It sounds
And
stupid.
they're already supposedly going to do that from satellites and not get caught.
Right. Or this object was serving another purpose. Right. And I mean, honestly, like to speculate on what, like, so you think it's a satellite that
I think it's one of the many, many satelloons that fucking NASA launches off hundreds of these things from Antarctica all the time. Okay, all the time. They've got balloons. I watched this one thing about this woman that works for NASA and makes the balloons. And they've got them as big as the freaking Astrodome, the Houston Astrodome. You don't see them.
Find that Night God video real quick. I'm gonna send that to you.
So you gotta think about this. Here's what I think.
Yeah.
I think that one of their fucking satellites, regardless of whose ever it is, Sataloon came down. Somebody saw it. They went into damage mode. They used it as propaganda. I mean, like, how did they know it was from China? Did they fly real close to it and inspect the label on it or something? Of course not. That's ridiculous. Automatically, it's from China. Why? Because we want to keep everybody hyped up mad at China. China goes ahead and says, yeah, okay, because here's the real thing. This is damage control because their whole fucking satellite program is in jeopardy because one of their fucking Sataloons fucked up.
Well, look, I sent you that video where that guy, he shows the video of this balloon getting shot down. And he also slows it down so you can see what's going on. Like I mean, I don't know. I was looking at it. To me, it could go either way. You know, it could be something. It is interesting. I'm interested to get your opinion. I was going to send it to you, but you were going on air when I came across it. So,
Well, send it.
huh? I sent it to you.
Oh, this is it right here. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Hold on.
All right, man.
All right, just a second here. I gotta do some technographical difficulmation. Just a moment. There it is. All right. This is the guy. This is him. Let's pull it up right here.
I got people. I'm sure you all have heard about this by now. The Chinese spy balloon that was spotted over Montana just a few days ago. And of course, you know that yesterday it was shot down. And it took Biden around 7 days before he finally ordered it shot down.
That's another thing that's stupid too. Okay, I'm just going to throw this out here. It's a fucking balloon. They sent an F-22 and shot a missile at a fucking balloon.
I know we're about to watch it. It's pretty.
I mean,
cool.
you could go up there with a Sopwith Camel from World War I and shoot a machine gun at it and shoot it down. You know how much cheaper that would have been?
Do you know how much fun that pilot probably had?
Not as much as if he'd had a gun. Guarantee you, that's kind of anticlimactic. You want a boom with a missile, right? This just popped a balloon is all you did.
Well, I don't know. It gets a pretty good watch. You'll see.
The reason it took so long is because they wanted to wait till they could safely shoot the balloon down. And also Biden had a request that he wanted to keep it as intact as possible so they could study the intelligence that it had gained up to this point. They even brought in NASA to calculate the trajectory at which they should shoot it down so it doesn't harm any civilians on the ground. So after a few days of deliberating, they finally decided it's time to take it out. Now, it just so happens there was a gentleman who was at a buddy's house and he was filming the whole event, and he actually caught the shooting down of the balloon on camera. Okay, so big deal. Why are you covering it, Night God? Well, there's something in the film that is absolutely mind-boggling. Hold on. I'm going to play the entirety of the video first, then I'll come back and analyze it, and we'll talk about what we see. So here's the footage. I took out the sound because of strong language. He kind of misses the initial blow up, but that's not what we're watching here. You can see that they hit it successfully. And then he pans over to another jet. And you can see clearly that it's flying towards the balloon. Here in a moment. He pans over. Did you see it?
See, I didn't see
I
it.
slowed it down. It was very fast. Check it out. Boom. You see that? Did you see that? A UFO flew across the picture.
Did you
I'm
see
going to
it?
make sure I slow it down again for you guys so you can watch it. So I've sped it up here to 2 times the original speed of the video so we could get through all this initial recording. You guys get it. They shot it down. And basically, that is that. But here, in a minute, I'm going to go back to normal speed right here. This is regular time. This is real time. Now watch closely. About the middle of the screen. You can see how slowly that jet's flying in. Okay, here in a moment. And there, you see it? You see it? Now here I slowed it down to 12 times, guys. Here I slowed it down to 12 times.
Fucking thing was rolling, man.
There it is. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa,
Yeah,
hold
that's
up.
a UFO. That's not debris. That's not a portion of the balloon. It's not the jet. The jet was on.
I gotta find my eclipse pictures, man, because I picked up some shit that looked just like that. That little double light thing like that, man. During an eclipse in California. Yeah. And I zoomed in on them, and they looked like they were not natural. It wasn't natural, and it wasn't no sundogs.
Whatever the fuck that thing is flying.
That's
only
incredible
flying
speed.
in such a speed that was flying at ridiculous speeds. The jet was also leaving a contrail behind it, so that object wasn't. That, my friends, unidentified flying object. Here it is, slowed down and zoomed out.
Yeah.
So you get the whole picture.
Fucking flew by.
Crazy stuff, y'all. Crazy stuff. There you have it. I'm not sure if anybody has spotted that up to this point.
It was a double light.
Yeah. It's like stacked like that. It's almost like two windows or something like that. Yeah, I saw those exact same things during a solar eclipse. It was a partial solar eclipse that I saw in California. And let me tell you something, man. The moon was right over here. I could see the fucking moon over to my right, over my shoulder, man. And it wasn't what was going in front of the fucking sun. So I don't know, man. And it couldn't have been no shadow. I don't know what the hell it was, but eclipse ain't the fucking moon going across the sun. I can tell you that right now.
Dude, over there in California, I seen some crazy shit too. I seen one night the moon rose very quickly. It was like, I can't even tell you. It was weird, man.
We got some folks have joined us here tonight. Let me pull up this thing. We got OTW News I saw in the house. I'm going to put a link up here in just a minute. God damn it, participants. Yeah, No Despair Bear, Kevin DeShill. I'll tell you, Tranquility, was it Tranquil Vortex? They like the term Saddaloons. So I pulled up some Saddaloons. Let's see, how do I get to that? Yeah.
Check this out.
We can look at these. He'll enjoy these, I'm sure. Here, well, we don't have to do it right this minute though. But I got a whole playlist of them, man.
That other video I showed you,
or
I sent you. Play that real quick. This will blow your mind. And everybody.
This stupid ad on this. I don't know. I don't want to pay you any fucking money at all, YouTube. I don't care. I'll skip your fucking commercials. I can give you a goddamn dime. You suck. All right. Wait a second. Let me get back over to this thing.
I can't believe the way these fucking people.
Dude, I've got to figure it out. You know what it is? You know, you got these little demons, and they're obviously demons that come out and they want to go, oh, and hang on, I'll put this back up in just a second. They're like, oh, you know, they vehemently troll and fucking get hateful and shit, and, you know, just be as retarded as possible and shit like that. Well, those are obviously working, you know, for those powers and principalities. But, you know, it's like, here's one of the reasons that it's so hard. I think that it's a case of that only the ones that God's chosen to be able to see and hear this shit are going to see it.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I realized too. You can't waste it. There's people that just aren't going to wake up.
Nope.
You just don't even bother with it. You don't even bother with it because there's nothing you can do. You know, you always try a little bit and see how they respond to it. And if they just totally are not receptive, or you're just like, man, it's not.
The ones that come at you adversarially and confrontationally.
That's what I mean.
The subject, yeah, they're working for the man. They're working for the devil. I mean, you know, for lack of a better term, that's who they are with. And that's all there is to it. They're there to breed negativity within you. Okay.
There's a lot of people too that are so in love with their programming that they just.
Yeah, they work for their daddy. That's what goes on. That's how it turns out. They become.
They're so into their programming that it's like when you challenge that belief, it challenges their sense of security, and two, their sense of identity. So both of those things, you know, the ego is entirely threatened, and they lash out at you.
Yep.
That's why it's not even worth. Once people start responding like that, you just be like, "Yep." You know, you might throw a little couple like, "Hey, man, have you ever considered this?" And then if they just shut you right down, just be like, "All right, man." Yeah. Because it's not worth it.
The ones that get me are these people that are out there and they're posing to be like, like that Red's Rhetoric character, and that who's that other fucking guy? Professor Dave or whatever the hell he is, right? That's their only purpose. That's their only purpose. And I know who they work for. And as soon as you pin them down on some shit, they don't want to talk about that no more. They want to get into, oh, look at you, this, that, and the other. See? And it's like, no, motherfucker. Where did you get your assumptive values from? Where did you get your assumptive distances from? Where did you get your assumptive sizes from? Why do you assume because you see a light in the sky and you deem that you're one of those lights in the sky that you're going to put the physical properties of your world onto some light you see in the sky and then think everybody's supposed to go along with it? That's bullshit. That's absolute fucking out and out horseshit, man.
Well, you know how people like to join in on bullying or like trying to. Okay, so it's like I like go on these. I look at these different flat Earth Facebook pages, like especially ones that are dedicated to mocking flat Earth.
Yeah.
And the way these people respond and act, it's almost like they're afraid that you do know something that they don't, and they just can't, like, that idea just can't possibly be true. So they have to make it seem as ridiculous as possible. And none of their like counter arguments or anything ever really, once you get to the bottom of it, like when you're like, where's the curve? Where's the, show me a photograph of the Earth from space, an actual photograph, not a composite image, not a painting, just show me a picture of the Earth from space, man. That's all I need. So I'll never say that I don't tell people, like, people are like, you think the Earth is flat? And I go, I don't know what fucking shape the Earth is. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know. But I guarantee you not very many people do. And the ones who do know aren't saying anything. And it definitely isn't what we've been told it is.
I guarantee you one goddamn thing. It certainly isn't a spinning ball.
That's what I'm saying. It's definitely not
that's out. Okay.
Yeah. It's definitely not that. That's what I'm saying. And it's
what it appears to me, and by all of their evidence, is an enclosed level system. Okay. That's what it looks like to me. That's what it appears like to me. Everything substantiates that. Unless I do a bunch of horseshit fucking weird math and go, if you do this and that, the other, and then that means that a city floated up in the air 60 miles so you could see it. Okay, Panky.
It's all theoretical mathematics based on assumptive values.
It's horseshit based on horseshit.
Yeah, exactly. So, play that video real quick. I think everybody will find this interesting. I've never seen.
I'll finish this one out here real quick. It's only got like what? Less than 2 minutes.
I was watching the TikTok video and saw in the comments somebody commented it, and I went back and researched it, and sure enough, there was a UFO in the video. Not uncommon when we seem to blow stuff up in the sky or use missiles, UFOs show up. It's kind of crazy. I don't know if probably they're monitoring what we do, our activity in the sky.
Or maybe they're there all the time and we only see them briefly during this thing, maybe a shifted frequency or something,
That's kind of what he's saying, yeah.
Yeah.
We use missiles, what we're using them for, etc. This is a phenomenon that dates back to the 50s and 60s. It dates back to the Cold War heavily. There was even a time that it was said they were shutting down missiles mid-flight. So
that makes sense.
Crazy stuff. Something other than us, a higher being, is monitoring our skies regularly, and it's actually pretty mind-blowing. So awesome footage. I'm glad it was caught on film. Absolutely crazy. I think that's the only film I've seen where the UFO was actually caught clearly. So maybe and hopefully you heard it here first. If you want, go back and look for yourself. The TikToker is at Bubba Thompson 0. Again, at Bubba Thompson 0 if you want to check out the original footage. And thank you for shooting that footage. Yeah, you missed the initial blast, but you caught something even cooler on camera. So great job. And as always, it's for entertainment purposes only. May or may not be true. At the end of the day,
yeah.
Disclaimer, right?
Information like you said. So
that one broad that saw that thing about the moon, man, they deleted her entire TikTok or Twitter account, man.
It makes sense. Yeah, they did. And it makes sense with what like Admiral Byrd had said, or like supposedly said in his diary. So Admiral Byrd's diaries were found by his son. His son started going public with them. disappeared for a few weeks, was found dead in a warehouse, and supposedly in the diaries it was talking about beings that he had met on the other side, or in like under Antarctica or on the other side of Antarctica. I forget exactly. You can look into it. Probably if you use quotation marks to search, it should be pretty easy to find. But anyways, yeah, and they said that like the recent activity during World War II, the use of, you know, whatever they used, whether it was nuclear bombs, the weapons of mass destruction that they did use to bomb those cities out, had drawn the attention of this civilization that resides out there, allegedly. And this is what his diary supposedly said. But
yeah, I'm very familiar with that. I don't put a lot of credence into it.
But
I think
it is
a lot of
interesting.
it's fake. I think it's fake.
Whatever would, if there was something here, or if there was something extra terra, or however you want to look at it, would they not be interested in like the things that we're doing, such as like say CERN or you know, these other potentially majorly devastating experiments or weapons and shit that they got going on? Because like that, we know that's going on some level. So so it would, like the argument he made about it being there, being concerned about what weapon was being used or what situation was going down. Play this. So this ties into the video that I want.
Yeah, I'm getting ready. I'm waiting for you to stop so I can bring it
All
up.
right. Yeah. Well, it was a segue, man. Segue into the check this out.
Like, this isn't shit from CNN trying to spin a narrative to you. This is Russian state media spinning a narrative to their people. I'm going to show you a clip of what they're just now saying, because look, it's 4 minutes. Okay, now hold up before you scroll. It's 4 minutes because I kept
pause this for a
wanting to cut
second.
it down and cut it down, but it just kept getting crazier.
What?
I just want to say I haven't actually looked up the actual interview because I just seen this right before, you know, I came on the show. But if this is true, this is fucking crazy. Go ahead and play it.
And crazier, the things that Russian officials are saying on official Russian news about us and World War III. And by the way, apparently we lost World War II. Apparently, you'll hear that partway through the video. Watch this clip. I'll spare you of coming back because it's already 4 minutes. It's still on TikTok, right? Hit like for that. But then we can talk about it in the comments instead of coming back after the clip. But
Good
go ahead
God,
and
shut
watch
the
the
fuck
whole
up and
thing
play it, dude.
Sit down,
Yeah, no shit.
because it's wild.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ну, не
Yeah,
Посейдоном единым-то живы мы с вами и наша российская армия. Это циркон, кинжал.
Oh, yeah, I forgot, you gotta read it.
50 мегатонн, который несет циркон. Сразу
I forget
приходят
that.
на память слова
Words of a movie character come to mind,
Арменом Жигарханяна.
portrayed by
Место
somebody
встречи
in a
изменить
film
не
meeting
получится.
place.
Мы
Let's see
тебя
fast
буквально
forward.
зарежем, чик, и ты уже на
Yeah, I
небесах.
can't.
Им бы об этом задуматься
Вы ведь
сначала.
не
I could
только
probably
выдающийся
zoom in.
российский военачальник, но и государственные действия.
Yeah, anyway, they're
занимающие
talking about blowing us up.
Вот почему мы не скажем?
Like they're not lightly or just slightly talking about it. They're like straight up like this is war, Russian war hawk propaganda. This is like their Fox News.
В конфликте вооруженном против России.
And these motherfuckers are for real talking about we're not going to be able to sit this shit out if we keep arming Ukraine. They're going to fucking come. They're going to come try to fuck us up, essentially.
Планируемые для
Free AKs.
зону военных действий.
And saying basically the American people have just fallen with the Russians because Russia's strong and our country's weak. That's what they're fucking saying over there.
Это не значит, что Верховный Главнокомандующий должен этим воспользоваться.
Конечно,
Но идею
когда
вполне
надо, он
можно.
воспользуется.
Я без
Все
сомнения
мы делаем
предлагаю
абсолютно
крикнуть.
правильно. И нет сомнений никаких. Нет сомнений никаких, что вот эта самая прелюдия к Третьей мировой, она будет с Западом
Yeah, I
проиграна.
wonder
так
if
же,
I could find
как
this
проиграна
actually.
Вторая мировая.
А победа, она
Абсолютно
где?
так же. А победа,
Нет,
она...
просто где эта грань победы? Ведь то, что сейчас делает Запад, он по большому счету передвигает наше представление о границах где мы говорим, да, мы достигли границы, это победа. То есть они ведь нас заставят, ну, как с ребятами говорю на передовой, у них подход простой. На большую
Approach
луну
is
надо
simple.
идти.
man.
А если понадобится, то и за.
Значит, наша победа будет там, где остановится русский солдат. А где он остановится, он оттуда
Let me
уже...
tell you something, man. Mr. Zelensky is not a very favorable character amongst his troops, man. I've seen video of his troops freezing, talking about wanting to pull those sons of bitches out of their fucking palaces and hang them and shit.
Listen, these motherfuckers, I'm pretty sure at one point in this video, he says that we'll submit because we'll be tired of our asses burning. Because they're going to fucking try to blow. Like, this is like actually worse than any American war propaganda I've ever seen. Because our news people don't just sit there and talk about how we're going to blow the shit out of another country.
Well, no, they don't say it quite that bluntly, but they
That's
do
what I'm
say it.
saying. Yeah.
I mean, when you have Madeleine
Well, they say
Albright come on TV and say that the death of over 5 million children is acceptable.
No, what they did to Gaddafi, where he
We came, we saw, and he died.
and she laughed. Yeah, what the fuck is that, dude? She's a psychopath. Like, only a psychopath can do that.
Oh, so now she's over at some Hindu retreat in India, trying to embrace Kamala's fucking heritage or some shit. I guess I don't know, man. Probably eating children anyway, wherever she's at.
What the fuck?
These guys are not good. These guys are not good.
Вы никогда
I wonder if I
не
can
уйдете.
bring that up.
Это
higher.
значит, что нам надо переходить в какой-то другой регистр. Притом
Да.
не только внутри страны, но и создавать свою международную коалицию.
It's fucking weird.
Уже жестко объявлять наше видение победы. Жестко объявлять, каким мы видим мир после нашей победы.
I don't know if anybody can even read
Нам
that.
уже не
I mean,
No, that's really quite boring too. So, anyways, they're threatening to smash the shit out of us,
yeah,
like always, and we do the same thing we've done.
I've never.
Do you remember? You ever seen the footage of Khrushchev on the floor of the UN with his shoe banging his fucking shoe on the counter while he was screaming?
No.
Oh yeah,
I
man!
do
During
know
the Cuban Missile Crisis, bro. That was some heavy duty shit back then.
So we know by 2030 they need this world to be all completely submitted to the United Nations and their agenda. That's their goal. So by 2025 they want to be well on the way. What major catastrophe, aside from the banking crisis that's about to take place, could possibly cause people in the United States to submit to the United Nations?
No, they're doing it right now. There's not going to be any food.
Well, yeah, the food crisis.
That's going to be it right there. They're going to have food distribution centers. You remember when you was a kid and you saw those things on TV where they had a little UN food distribution center in the middle of some fucking place in Africa, and there was all those people living in tents and shit around it? That's what they're going to do.
Realistically, what I think they're going to do is something similar. Yeah, that's going to be a part of it, but it's all we have to do to see what they're planning is just look back 100 years ago. They're playing right out of the same playbook.
Wait till they do their Guns for Grub program. You know,
for grub program. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Hey, well, look, dude, they let people go get shit done to them for a fucking cheeseburger.
No, I know.
You know, come on. People are fucking easy.
Did you see Jim Brewer's special about that?
Yes. I love it.
Fucking funny, man.
I love it. Yes. No,
I mean, it's awful. Like, in essence, it's actually an awful thing that's happening at the end of the day, because we tried to warn people. I know I definitely did. I tried to warn people. I was working as a manager at a retail place, and I told every fucking customer that I possibly could.
And we're not going to get into that at all, not even mention that time period.
Oh, no, I wasn't even going to say anything that would relate back to it.
Because, see, we're not medical professionals, and anything we say would be considered medical misinformation by people who are not qualified to give medical information. Think about that for a minute there, ladies and gentlemen. People get struck for medical misinformation by people who are not qualified to give medical information. Let that sink in just for a minute. And then
That's
think of
true.
your favorite Marxist blue hair screaming into the sky because they haven't gotten their way yet.
Did you see the hearings for Twitter that they're having?
The
Have
what?
you seen any of those?
The what now?
They've got Twitter. They brought Twitter up for interfering.
Oh yeah, that's a dog and pony show, just like the Rand Paul, Dr. Fauci shit.
I agree, it's a dog and pony show, but they're still cutting into Twitter pretty hard, man. Because they bring up that exact thing that we're not bringing up.
Note that the guy they're yelling at, these are all ex-employees, right?
That's what she looked though. That's what the lady, when she was cutting into him, she was like, yeah, she's like, is it true that you censored certain information that could have, prevented people from ending up in a certain situation? You know what I mean? And like went down that route. And it was like, wow, okay, she's really going in and cutting into these guys, man. Like that's some serious shit that they're accused. And then it's not just because it's serious shit against Twitter, but it's also serious shit against the other companies involved in the situation.
Yeah.
And it's in Congress on congressional record, so it's pretty badass.
Here's what it is.
Well, that's why,
valve, man. Look, they're finally saying something to him, boy. I'll tell you what. And everybody goes, pressure valve goes down.
Well, no, see, I do think that's a certain aspect of it, but so ultimately everybody works for the same people, right? But at the end of the day, not everybody that's in this class of people want the United States to be decimated. Not everybody, right? But there's enough powerful people most likely that do, from what I've studied and understand of it. You know what I mean?
I think Plowboy 6656 is onto something here with this too.
Right.
Who else could withstand that kind of G-force but a penguin, right?
It's funny.
Yeah, Australia's fucked over here now. What's this? Tranquil Vortex says Australia has folded, interest rates rising now. End of use of okay. Something else I saw too. There's other countries where there's people trying to go get money out of their ATMs, and the fucking ATM, instead of giving them any money, is just taking their goddamn card. And they're just shutting down. They're just shutting these banks down. People trying to get their fucking money, and their banks closed.
Dude, I'm telling you. So they already beta tested this back in 2015 in Greece, right? When Greece refused to join the European Union, and the banks fucking bankrupted them and basically forced them, hucklebucked them into agreeing. They basically, people woke up one day, went to go pull money out of the bank, and they're like, you can only pull $60, whatever their currency is. I don't remember what it is, but they're like, that's your limit for the day. The banks did what's called a bail-in, so people don't realize when you keep your money in a bank, right? You don't keep your money in a bank. That's actually a huge misconception about the way banks work. People think they're keeping their money in a bank, like there's some vault back there with your fucking money. There isn't. What's actually happening is you're loaning that bank money, right? So the way banks started, not to side trail too much off into this, but the way banks started was banks would take gold and silver, things that actually had value, right? And they would issue paper representation of that gold and silver called a certificate, like a gold or silver certificate. And then people could take this paper and redeem it at any point in time at any one of those banks for actual tangible currency, right? Well, the banks figured out that hardly anybody came in to actually get the gold and silver because the paper was as good as gold and silver. So it was a lot easier. You didn't have to worry about getting robbed necessarily, stuff like that. So they found out that they could loan 10 times the amount of paper that they actually had gold to support it. And it's called fractional reserve banking, right? Well, then when there was an economic crisis, people would go run to get their gold out of the bank, and the bank wouldn't have enough to cover all the notes that they had issued or certificates that they had issued, and that was called the run on the bank. They actually engineered runs on the bank to justify the creation of the Federal Reserve, right? Well, the Federal Reserve is essentially what that is on a large scale. They do that with governments instead of people, right? And it only took them 20 years from their establishment to bankrupt the United States through the greed of politicians and various Farm Loan Act and all. They created this intricate network of basically turning the people into agricultural products and trust estates. Anyway, now that we're not backed, now that the currency is not backed with gold anymore, literally all you're doing when you give the bank your money is you're giving them your money, right? It's your money. In the same way that they considered that when your gold was in their bank, it was their gold. And what they give you is a record of how much gold or how much money they owe you. So that's what a deposit slip is. It's seriously, if you look into, that's actually how banks work. So when your money's in the bank, it's their money.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What ends up happening is if they get into trouble, like last time in 2008, they did a bailout, which is where they basically loan the government money to give back to them, right? And filter it through the taxpayers so that we bear the burden of debt for it. That's a bailout, right? Well, a bail-in is where they just take the money that they have and they say, this is our money and we need to pay our bills first, so get fucked. And there's nothing you can do about it. The FDIC.
Plowboy here says he has some silver certificates. I would redeem those.
I would hang on.
I wouldn't. I would get the physical silver. I would get the physical silver now. If you got a gold certificate, you're probably fucked anyway.
Actually, that's true. You could sell it right now. I forgot those things. Yeah, you could just sell the certificate for like, I think like a $20 certificate sells for like $800. They sell them down at Dixieland Flea Market. There's a guy that's got a whole bunch of them.
So Pete here says that I must have smoked way too much weed or something, because I don't believe that there's space and satellites and shit. And I've got some video footage of some of his satellites. Perhaps he'd like to see. I'll show him here in just a minute. I want to show you something else. This is something that's helping to keep our economy going right now. I'm going to be attending this tomorrow night, live in Woodstock.
Oh, that's fucking
Extreme Dwarfinators. That's right. Dwarf Wrestling in Woodstock, Virginia. And it's going to be fantastic. So we're going to have some great video.
That's awful, but I would totally be interested in seeing what the hell that was even about.
Well, it popped up because of Corey.
How much was the ticket? I want to know how much was the ticket.
Oh, let's see. There were $25 general admission, $35, I think, for ringside. So I got ringside.
So them dwarves are cleaning up, aren't they?
Oh, hell yeah, man. They're all over the place. You ought to look at this schedule on here, man.
Can you call them dwarves, or do you got to call them like little people?
I don't know what you're supposed to call them. They call it dwarfinators, so they must not be too upset about the word.
That's true.
You know?
Yes. That is true.
I was going to say something, but I ain't going to.
Yeah, probably should.
Yeah, you can't on this fucking thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, Pete, don't you want to see some of your satellites being launched up on balloons by NASA? I have a whole bunch of video of some satellites being launched into the air by NASA on balloons. I think
he would be interested in seeing some of those.
He said he was going to leave. See?
Yeah, I know. I think he wants to see those satellites, man. You should hang out and see how your comments hold up.
Yeah. Let's see that. You see, put something in the chat if you're still there, Pete, or don't if you ran away with your tail tucked under your ass because you're about to get it handed to you. Huh? What's up?
You do smoke too much weed.
There's no such thing. I have been smoking weed now for 45 years. And I'm still smarter than that motherfucker. How about that? So if it does do damage, I had a lot in reserve. You know what I'm saying? Because comparatively,
fair enough.
Logic doesn't seem to elude me a bit.
It doesn't seem like Pete's still there.
No. That's all right. We'll wait a few minutes. I'll pull them up because it's kind of interesting to see what we got. Let me just show you all some. These are cute. There's a sunrise telescope going up. Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing to me is always the alternative to satellites. Like, so they,
No, watch this. Watch this. Look at the size of that thing. Here goes. Up and away. Gee, if that don't look just like that shit they tell you is floating around out in space. Huh. Chinese. Is that Chinese? I don't know if that was Chinese. It would have said Baroon on it.
let's see if I can find this video for you.
Look. What are we doing here? I saw it had some of that magic foil on it too. Look at that one. Look how it puffs up by the time it gets way up there, man.
Okay, you're probably wondering why am I outside? It's not really raining and I have an umbrella. Well, there's some rain coming down, but that's not why I have the umbrella. I have the umbrella.
Here's one. Watch this. This thing crashed in somebody's fucking yard, man. Look.
I just sent you a good one too, man.
Look at this.
A imprensa chegando. Como foi você achar esse troço aí, seu ladrão de drone? Como? Esse morador, aquele ali, esse morador caiu na fazenda dele e foi.
So these things come down, and who's gonna go do a story on it, especially if you're trying to keep it out, you know? I hope Pete gets a chance. Oh, look, there's somebody almost getting killed by one. Jiminy Cricket.
Damn.
Yeah, they're not always successful.
Justin Trotter's car was tipped over. He can be seen here running for his life. While Justin Trotter was inspecting the damage, NASA scientists were picking up the pieces of years of work. Balloons are launched into the stratosphere carrying cutting-edge telescopes that help give astronomers and scientists a much clearer view of space. One balloon was successfully launched earlier this month, and NASA is adamant it will have another ready to take off shortly.
You never know what's going to happen. This baby fell out of the sky and landed in our yard. It's never boring on the Welke farm.
Oh my word. Well, but first, a word from our sponsors that I won't share. Hang on. And so this thing fell into this lady's yard. This fell into her yard. Samsung, it said on.
It's still going and flashing.
Remote corners of the globe.
This is something that has never been asked of balloons before, to be reliable.
So the first thing we did was took a router, flew it on a weather balloon up to 10 kilometers and see if we could still get a signal. We were just like a cell phone tower, but in the sky. Another way to think about it is if you drive down the highway on a phone call, you will switch between cell towers. And as one balloon goes around...
Hold on, I'm going to bring that to regular speed. Because y'all need to hear this.
Inside the massive hangars at Moffett Federal Airfield, Google is attempting to do something that balloon experts deemed impossible: deliver high-speed internet access to the most remote corners of the globe.
This is
Starlink?
something that has never been asked of balloons before, to be reliable.
So the first thing we did was took a router, flew it on a weather balloon up to 10 kilometers and see if you could still get a signal. We are just like a cell phone tower, but in the sky. Another way to think about it is if you drive down the highway on a phone call, you will switch between cell towers. And as one balloon goes overhead, another balloon comes in range, and you're switching between one balloon to another. The balloons today can cover 5,000 square kilometers on the ground. You can get 15 megabits per second to your phone.
It sounds like Starlink, doesn't it?
Or if you have a little MiFi device, you can get 40 megabits per second from the balloon.
Yeah.
I remember when we were building balloons and they would go up and pop and come back down. We do a lot of different tests with balloons built in different ways. They might be a different shape. They might have an extra feature. We might change the dimension of a feature. and try and figure out what works and what doesn't.
Our longest lasting balloon was up for 173 days until we brought it down. Now we've gotten to the point where most of the balloons will last over 100 days.
This balloon has a constant volume and there is helium in it. We have another balloon inside the balloon that we fill with air.
Yes. That's what happens.
And the balloon is going to go down.
It's easy to steer the balloon.
You go up, use this wind, then go down, use this wind, and go up.
Over the last 6 months, Google has run tests with Vodafone, Telstra, and Telefonica.
It's too expensive to build wires and cell towers and fiber optics out to all these remote rural regions. It's still early stages in our project in terms of figuring out how big it can grow. It's great for bringing internet to 4 billion people on Earth who don't have it.
An inflatable plastic balloon satellite, 100 feet in diameter, tall as a 10-story building, inside a 26.5-inch magnesium container. The latter is mounted in the nose of a 3-stage, 92-foot Thor Delta rocket. Highlighting one of the nation's proudest days in space, the satellite will serve as a reflector for radio waves that bounce back to Earth, paving the way for a new kind of worldwide communications. The rocket at Cape Canaveral carries the balloon and 30 pounds of powder, which will turn to gas and inflate it to the height above 1,000 miles. At 5:40 a.m., the launching. Then the tense moments while the rocket goes through the separation of the stations. It is only the second launching for the Thor Delta. It is living up to the expectations of the space experts who say it functions almost perfectly. With extremely precise guidance, it is placing the balloon satellite almost exactly into the desired 1,000-mile-high circular orbit. 33 minutes after launching, the balloon is released and inflated by the powder inside, which turns from a solid into gas under the sun's temperature. The big balloon, visible like a bright star, quickly bounces a recorded message by President Eisenhower between stations in California and New Jersey. And here in Washington, the chief executive listens to his own voice as it sounded when bounced from the orbiting satellite.
It is a great personal satisfaction to participate in this first experiment in communication involving the use of a satellite balloon. This is one more significant step in the United States program of space research and exploration.
Pine-covered hills near Palestine is one of the best-kept secrets in East Texas. The Columbia Scientific Balloon Facility is a renowned balloon launch site involved in world-class scientific research.
The data that we get, the scientists get rather, is used all around the globe.
The National Scientific Balloon Facility was moved to Palestine in 1963. It has recently been renamed the Columbia Scientific Balloon Facility in honor of the Columbia crew and is under the sponsorship of NASA.
When I first came to work here, it was we were launching a lot of small balloons, 11 million cubic foot balloons and 4 million cubic foot balloons. But as time progressed, we got to launching the bigger.
That's a hell of a lot cheaper.
8,000 pounds.
For balloon launches throughout the world, including Antarctica. A number of the facility's balloons are launched each year.
Wow. Did you see the subtle programming in that little short thing where she said all around the world, including Antarctica?
Honestly, I could hardly focus on it, so I don't know.
She was using she's spinning a globe, and then it pans out, and she's got a picture of Antarctica behind her. Watch this. This is crazy. It's real subtle. It's real subtle. Hang on.
For balloon launches throughout the world, including Antarctica. A number of the facility's balloons are launched each year from that icy land with its 15 plus to 20 below the world, including
balloons and 4 million cubic foot balloons. As time progressed, we got to launching the bigger, heavier balloons that lift 8,000 pounds.
For balloon launches throughout the world, including Antarctica. A number of the facility's balloons are launched each year from that icy land with its 15 plus to 20
Does it
below.
surprise you the entirety of the media is an intelligence operation?
Came right in. What was crazy is because as you start thinking, then they whirl in on that spinning globe right there. That's in the total making up the whole screen, then zoom out like that. They got to fucking throw that globe in on you, man. Fuck.
Low temperatures. The balloons, made of material as thin as trash bags but bigger than football fields, are inflated with helium and launched on journeys to the edge of space. The data gathering and scientific experiments they carry out can be accomplished at a fraction of the cost of rockets.
So a lot of people think that what we do has to do with forecasting the weather.
Weather forecasting, it's not, although weather monitoring for launches is part of the job. But what about sorting out the Big Bang Theory, detecting cosmic rays, measuring ozone layers, and hundreds of other scientific experiments that most of us don't understand? But what is it?
All kinds of science. You peons don't know about nor understand. We're picking
It's
up
far too complicated.
Oh,
for
yeah.
you to understand.
Gravity pockets and fucking
Parallax,
parallax. Yeah, and
obviously.
all kinds of shit. You just
Astronomy.
go work. Go
Astronomy.
work, slave. Go buy some fucking shit.
accomplished by the Columbia Scientific Balloon Facility may well affect our lives and those of our children as long as this planet
Unfortunately, that is
spins.
true, probably, though.
Look. I wasn't the only one caught it.
Yeah, the reporter's voice is incredibly annoying. You know what's funny? The attitude of people who watch the news religiously is that not every single person, but the majority of people that I've seen that like go to catch the 5 o'clock news or the 10 o'clock news or whatever fucking the local news is, and they're religious about it, they feel like they're they like got this pretentiousness as if they're more intelligent than those around them because they're aware of the local.
It's because it's called appeal to authority,
and all they do is just parrot. They just mock. Do you even know what the fuck you just said? Like, you understand the meaning of the story that you just told me? You just repeated from the news.
Right.
Is you fucking no? You haven't thought about it at all. You just memorized and regurgitated it because that's what you were taught how to do in public school.
And if you agree and parrot the smart guy, then that makes you a smart guy too.
They tell you
it's not about understanding. It's not about understanding or being able to logically formulate ideas from the information. It's about just facts, figures, quantifications.
School is like this. This is what happened. This is why it happened. Right? This was the motivation behind why it happened and what happened and how it happened. Now repeat it back to me. Not like this happened on this date. Why do you think this happened? You know, given these factors, these circumstances, and these situations, why would you say that this happened? You know, why did the War of 1812 happen? Right? This is what was going on. Right? The financial system, the central bank's charter was there to be renewed. Congress refused to renew it. Right? Powerful money interests in Europe were upset about that. Bam, War of 1812. Right? Well, that's the conclusion I came to once I had all of the information. But so they don't give you all of the information, and they give you the motivations, what they say the reason this happened. Right? And when you actually look into it for yourself.
That's what I'm not into. I mean, it's like, wait a second, hold on. You motherfuckers just skipped right from the Revolutionary War into the Civil War. You know, I mean, that's what they did. And I was like, what about the war? Well, we're not learning that this year. And I was like, well, why not? And my whole thing, you know, as a child, when I looked at it, I was like, well, they was probably still mad because they lost and they come back to take it. They found out there was more to the West and they wanted more. Well, now, of course, they know that that's bullshit and that it was the same thing with the banks. It's the same thing that's going on right now. Only instead of not deciding to re-sign the charter, we can't live up to it.
Right.
So we're in foreclosure. That's why we're in a big, huge fire sale that's going on, man.
Right. They don't teach you shit about the Great Depression. They don't teach you shit about debt securities or the fact that our currency is debt securities. There is no positive value currency in this country. There are no bills of debt. There's just bills of exchange, promissory notes, bonds. That's it. That's our currency. Right. And they don't teach you any of that, you know, because and that's why people are at a disadvantage. They don't learn the most important things when they're in school. 3 most important things, and they're all intimately intertwined with one another. Law, history, money.
Mm-hmm.
What is the law? Well, first of all, what was history? History was shaped by the law, and primarily the laws of money around that time. You see what I'm saying? That's just the facts. Who owes who what money? Right? Entire wars have been fought to get out of debt. You know, oh, I don't want to pay you, so it's war. You know what I mean? And, you know, when you think about like Game of Thrones, think about Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah. You're watching through that. You're watching through that whole thing thinking the Lannisters are the fucking money power. Rothschild, right? The Lannisters are the ones. The Lannisters always paid their bet. Then they had to go and suck dick to the Iron Bank, didn't they? They had
Listen,
to go
Julius Caesar was propped up by merchant bankers. It's been the same people behind the scenes the entire time.
Yep.
You know what I mean? The world is shaped by specific people. But all of this serves its purpose. You know what I mean? So you notice there's a shift in frequency. You can tell, you can feel it. It's in the air, right? People are waking up faster and faster.
Yeah.
There's some people, not everybody's going to wake up, and some people are never going to wake up. You know what I mean? But many people are waking up faster and faster to the chains.
Like I said, I think it's
Government and religion have placed chains on humanity for thousands of years, and we're approaching a time where that's going to be removed.
You got to be careful we don't replace those chains with different chains just because they're prettier.
Of course. Well, that's the danger. So you've got the UN is going to present itself as some messianic governmental organization after all of these planned cataclysms that are about to take place, right? They're going to be some messianic organization that calls to unite everybody under their banner. You know, one world economy. See, they're going to hucklebuck people into taking digital currency and taking that digital ID, because that's what it is. The digital currency is just the natural next step to the digital ID, right? But people are also waking up to it as fast as they can roll it out.
Volcano.
This is a war of information, man. It's a war of information. That's what.
Well, like I said, though, here's the thing. For those with eyes to see and ears to hear, and I think God just chooses those people, because there's some deaf-ass, blind-ass motherfuckers out there, and they ain't never going to see it. You know what? I don't care.
See, we don't need most people to see it. We just need enough people to see it. And it'll make a difference.
That's what I find out. I need to see it.
Well, yeah,
somebody else sees it, we can get together and we can talk about it.
What is the point of even having a channel like this if not?
Because I find other people that can see it and I can talk to them. See, now I get these other little assholes that want to run in and say stupid shit.
So there's people out there that wake up to stuff that isn't right. And they start looking for somebody who knows what the hell's going on. So, you got to find the first thread of the tapestry somehow. Right. And that's why it's so important. Not everybody's going to be woken up. And that's why I said, if I'm talking to somebody and I feel like they may have potential, even a lot of times I just throw out trial questions to everybody. I just might mention something, or they might mention something. Well, lately the COOF has pretty much made it easy to identify who's receptive to things and who isn't by their staunch opinions towards that situation. You know what I mean? If somebody is extra on that there's no way you're gonna, and still throw out a couple trial, hey, whatever they bring up, just kind of gear it towards some statistics, and because their own statistics and facts disprove that whole thing. You know what I mean? That they published. And that's what's amazing about the mind control that has taken hold over this nation specifically. I remember one time, I think it was back in 2015, I met this European couple. I was on a Greyhound. I was actually going from California to Virginia. And this European couple, I was talking to somebody about stuff because I used to be real passionate about it. I mean, I still am, but I used to try to tell everybody I could about it, right? Because I just, I was new in it and stuff. This is just years ago. And so I'm talking to this guy and we're having a conversation about the way the world works. This European couple overheard me. And when we stopped at a rest area outside, they're like, we heard what you said about the bankers and about the way things are run, about what your government does. And they told me, they said, how the rest of the world looks at Americans? And he's like, I'm not talking about England. I'm not talking about England because they're fucked up too. But do you know what the rest of the world, how they look at the United States? That the people are sick. You guys are fucking sick in the head. And he said, you see how it works. He says, but most people here, they're sick in the head because they let their government do sick shit around the world. And he didn't say it in quite such a vulgar manner, but that's essentially what he said, right? He's like, your government, you guys are okay. He said that Americans are sick in the head, and it's because we allow our government to go rape and pillage other countries, and the shit they do, they poison our fucking food and water. We got the FDA. That, you know what I mean? Like the article. Remember that old newspaper article you have from when the FDA came out? People are outraged about the idea of a food czar, right? Somebody to govern our food, like, really, you know? And it turns out that the FDA has been more detrimental, in my opinion, than helpful, right? And that's my opinion, obviously, but I mean, like, just the very idea of adding fluoride to the drinking water, the fact that has not been stopped.
Well,
right?
no, they got people still, despite everything, thinking.
You know how fluoride's made? I know you do.
Yeah, don't talk about it. You'll get us in trouble.
Really? You can't
Yeah,
talk about
don't talk about anything that has to do with any fucking shit going in your body at all.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not taking it. I'm not doing it. No. If people are fucking stupid and want to put shit in their body, let them go do it. I don't give a fuck.
You can't talk about, like,
I don't. That's right. Because people that are not doctors will decide that that's medical misinformation.
That's awful.
Yeah,
so YouTube's an awful. That's awful.
It's the worst fucking platform they got going. That's why I've not been doing
terrible.
much.
Well, anyway, yeah, I am not a doctor, but you know, you just look into stuff. Just look into stuff, right? So
don't get your boosters. Do it.
yeah, just go get vaccinated, right? Yeah, man. They people are waking up, though. That's what I was saying. People are waking up as fast as they can roll everything out, and that's kind of like, it's kind of like a race to the finish. You know what I mean? And it is a war. We've been in World War III. Like, yeah, they're threatening World War III now. Like, Russia just threatened the shit out of us, apparently, on their news channel. But we've already been in World War III. We've been in World War III since 2001. Okay, we've been in World War III since 2001 when our own people carried out an attack on ourselves, right? Like, so Corbett talks about that on YouTube. He's got YouTube stuff on here, so, like, we can talk about that, right? 9/11, right?
Yeah, we can talk about 9/11. Not only did we forget, nobody gives a fuck anymore. Okay.
No, well, that's what I'm saying. But that's when World War III kicked off. When they did that, when they perpetrated a massive false flag attack, right? And it was 14 of the 19 hijackers were Saudi Arabian citizens. Never once was Saudi Arabia even so much as questioned about anything, right?
No, we don't
Right?
dare.
Yeah, no, not at all. And then freaking, where was the news channel that had footage from the attack? They didn't even have an airplane in their footage. The building just blew up.
I think it was Iran.
It was
Iran.
Iran. 3 towers collapsed from 2 airplanes, right? First of all, an airplane, jet fuel doesn't burn hot enough to melt fucking high-rise steel building like that. That's not. And then secondly, it disintegrated into its own footprint. Third, 3 towers fell from 2 planes. 4, those pilots couldn't even handle a single engine Cessna in flight training, right? And one of them managed to fucking fly in a corkscrew fucking pattern all the way to come level with the Pentagon, the budget analyst office of the Pentagon, right after Donald Rumsfeld announced the fucking money missing, dude. So, like, ever since then,
I'm starting to find more shit. Now, not only was there no planes, starting to find out and figure out that there wasn't no fucking people either.
Yeah, probably. That wouldn't surprise me. And, you know, and that's what I'm saying. Ever since they did that and they got away with it, like, George Bush is sitting there reading to a class on television, on camera, right? And he's sitting there saying, what was it? Planes must hit steel or something like that. Like,
yeah.
Kids are saying that.
It was kite.
Oh, yeah.
You know, something about kite hit steel. something like that, and they kept saying it like that. Well, that's kind of a ritualistic thing, anyways. But
yeah, and then the dude comes up, his Secret Service comes up and whispers in Bush's ear, and Bush just nods and smiles and goes back to reading to the kids.
And the
You know
book
what
was upside down.
Is that for real? Was it?
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
I Pet Goat or some shit like that, or My Pet Goat was the name of it too.
So they got away with that, right in front of everybody. And once they did that, that's when it was like truly on, because then they passed the Patriot Act. Now you're talking about over 1,000-page bill they passed, like before anybody realistically had time to read that motherfucker.
Oh, I know, man. Or write it up that goddamn quick.
Right, it was already prepared. You know, and ever since then, you know, then they've been showing you, see, like these plants, these puppets, these people, the controlled opposition, Julian Assange and what's his name? Anthony Snowden, or no. Yeah, Snowden.
Yeah, Snowden.
Snowden,
his fucking
Snowden,
name is. And then there was
Michael Manning.
Chelsea.
Oh, yeah, Chelsea Manning, whatever the fuck, right? And that's how you know these are controlled opposition. Like how that person looks like that, right? So, and the reason being is because that's the law. You have to consent. You have to consent to everything. That's why we're under all these contracts and the trust indenture. You know what I mean? That's what I talk about on my channel, and I talk about on here, is that you have to consent to everything, because that is the only way they escape the karmic repercussions. Right. So it's a manipulation of universal law. That's what contracts are. They're a form of magic. And and one of those contracts is informing you of something, and silence is considered a form of consent, because commercial law is presumptive. It operates on presumptions. Contract law does. And you are pursuing, if they tell you that they're going to do something and you do not rebut it, then it is presumed you consent to it, you agree with it. In the same way that if you file something in the county recorder, right, in the county clerk's office, and it stands unrebutted for, I think it's like 60 or 90 days, I forget, it stands as fact and law, right? So, and that's just the way that law works, that pirate law. You know, it's the law of claiming things, essentially. Claiming.
Why don't you put your channel link in the chat? Somebody, Kevin DeShill, is asking about it in there.
Yeah,
could have a wrench, so go ahead and put that in there. Well, some other interesting shit before we turn this into a financial law.
No, I wasn't going to turn it on. My point was they need consent.
People are watching numbers go click, click, click down. What I was wanting also to get on here with is some of this other shit. Did you watch any of that live stream we were watching, that I was watching when you talked to me earlier?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Brian Stavely. All right. I don't know how far it was into it when you got to it, but a lot of people out there, I don't know if you know about this. Okay. I was completely unaware of this shit. So when has the United States been attacked in the 20th century? When was it attacked by foreign entities? What year would you say that was?
The United States attacked by foreign entities?
Yeah. In the 20th century.
Like here domestically?
Yeah.
I would say probably Pearl Harbor.
That's what I would have said too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, apparently there was a thing called the Black Tom incident in New York. I think on what's that island? Ellis Island. And this thing was some phenomenal amount of fucking TNT that blew out all the lower windows in Manhattan. It could be felt like in Baltimore and shit.
Black Tom, you said?
Yeah, and it damaged the Statue of Liberty's torch. And that's why people can't go up in it. But I know people that had gone up in it, and this supposedly happened in 1916.
No shit. 1916?
Yeah.
Holy fuck, man.
I never heard of this shit ever before in my life. I'm going to look it up on here right now.
That's very interesting.
Pull it up.
Why railroad train cars? You know, the railroads were instrumental in setting up this trust indenture system.
Oh, I know the railroads were huge. There it is. Black Tom explosion. Okay, so let me go ahead and share this.
Huh.
I'd never heard of this dumb shit. This is the Black Tom explosion was an act of sabotage by agents of the German Empire to destroy U.S.-made munitions that were being supplied to the Allies in World War I. The explosions, which occurred on July 30th, 1916 in New York Harbor, killed 4 people and destroyed some $20 million. That's $500 million by today's standards. Worth of military goods. This incident, which happened prior to the U.S. entry into World War I, also damaged the Statue of Liberty. It was one of the largest artificial non-nuclear explosions in history.
How crazy is that, man?
This is like new shit because the incident that got the United States involved in World War I was the sinking of the Lusitania. You would figure that an event like this would actually, because that's why the Germans sunk the Lusitania in the first place, was because it was, and they put ads in the U.S. newspapers warning the danger on traveling on this, on the Lusitania was considered dangerous because it was a target of the German Navy and told because it was taking arms to their enemy, the British. And one night off the coast of Ireland, I believe it was, in a fog, they lost their naval escort and were sunk by German submarines. And this was then Woodrow Wilson declared war on Germany. And it brought us right into it. I was unaware of this. Now, it supposedly damaged the torch of the Statue of Liberty, who is becoming increasingly more masculine as time goes on, I've noticed.
Do you know about the story of the creation of the FBI?
The thing is, I know people that have been up in the fucking Statue of Liberty in the torch.
I believe you.
But here's the thing, people that swear, I've been up there, I got pictures. They can't find their fucking pictures. They're gone now. This stuff is continuing. It's continuing. Biblical verses. Forgive us our debtors as we forgive those who debt against us. What? Where 2 or 3 gather in my name. 2 or 3, it's 2 or more. Were we going to limit it to 3? I mean, there's so much fucking crazy shit. Brian was really rattling them off on that show, man. That song by Jewel, Who Will Save Your Soul? You remember that song? Okay, now it's Who Will Save Your Souls, plural.
Well, that's kind of creepy, man.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, come on. What is actually going on? I mean, this means that reality is fluid?
Oh, fuck, man. Quite possibly.
There's just so many things like that. I mean, even the names of well-known stuff, where it's like, wait a minute, Vaseline. Now it's with an E instead of an O. It's not Vaseline, it's Vaseline. And it never had the O. And I'm like, no, that's not correct.
Interesting. Do you know about the creation of the FBI?
Yeah, you ever see the movie J. Edgar?
Okay, so what was the predecessor to the FBI?
I think it wasn't it Pinkerton's?
Well, do you know what it was called?
The Pinkerton Society.
Was it the Bureau of Investigation?
Yeah, well, that's what the Pinkertons ended up, I believe, becoming. They were the first Secret Service people. They actually worked for the railroad. These fuckers worked for the railroad, and they would intimidate
the whole thing.
And shit,
the railroads are instrumental in setting up the trust indenture system. I'm gonna do a show on that actually. But yeah, this is how is this Black Tom thing? That's insane, man. So that it's in the Bureau investigation, investigated and everything, and it was so we're
So this is 1916.
right. That's when they passed the Farm Loan Act.
And this is just like, you know what, though? This is something else Brian Stavely pointed out, that this all seems to have German connection.
Yeah.
Up to and including the Bears. Think of the name. It's all got connections to Germany. Now, see, let's suppose, just for shits and giggles, that in 1942, I'm just picking a date out there, they were able to travel forward in time to, say, like 2025. We would be unaware. We would be unaware of their travel to that future date. We would end up catching up to it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's disruption in a timeline. Let's just suppose that the Germans in 1942, today's February the 10th, 2023, and they set their thing to come to the future. In 1942, they set their thing to come to February 10th, February 11th, 2023. Okay. So as we're talking about it, speculating that kind of a thing, it would be very well possible that all of a sudden tomorrow, boom, whoa, Nazis traveled from the past. Headlines all over the news and shit. But for them, that happened in 1942. It already happened. They already made it. It was instantaneous for them. It took us 70 some odd years to catch up to it, you see.
That's an interesting thought.
So what does that do to the timeline for those occupants or whatever that have traveled to that future date? What does that do to little tiny things perhaps in the reality with their presence being removed from one place and brought to another?
That's operating under the assumption that there are multiple timelines, in which case,
that reality is fluid,
which would be interesting to think about.
Yeah.
It's
because it's like, wait a second. What about it just, because we've already looked at the idea of a malleable reality. And that concept's been known for a long time, even through Hinduism and, even up to and including the concept of quantum manifestation. So that taken to a higher level, who's to say what the fuck,
You remember that video with the Bernstein Bears guy with the Bernstein Bears book? Yeah, and that guy has like not been seen or heard from, hasn't made any more videos. Then there's that kid that was talking about it. What was his name? Max something.
There's some people that just kind of fucking blow out. And then there's other people that just kind of get sick of hearing people's bullshit. And they go, you know what? Fuck you. I was trying to help you. Fuck you.
Well, no, both of these. Well, the guy with the Bernstein Bears book, that was weird, dude. You could always alter the video. Don't get me wrong. You definitely could, but that was some pretty good editing right there for sure.
Yes, Mike Smith. It started out in just the King James versions of Bibles, but now it's transed over into other Bibles now too. Bibles that people have had on their shelves for years, passed down through family. Where they have births and marriages and shit recorded in the front of them and shit. Yeah. And this stuff is like, what? How are we having this? How are we having this? All right. The famous story, okay, about a man named Dorian Gray. Are you familiar with this? He buys this painting. He has this painting made of himself, right? And the painting ages, but he doesn't. He remains young forever. While the picture ages. It's quite a famous story. I've always known it as the portrait of Dorian Gray. Well, apparently it's not that anymore. It's the picture of Dorian Gray, which is like stupid.
It's interesting.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of shit that's just going wonky. I mean, just stuff that never
Well,
was.
there's always one thing to support the malleable reality, if that was the case, would be that we did all die. Like that theory that we're all dead. You heard that theory?
What's that? Say it again.
That we're all dead. Like,
yeah.
So essentially, like, kind of like if anybody in the audience has seen the movie Inception, like the further into your mind you go, the slower time is. So, like, basically 1 second out here could be in fucking, several days in your head, essentially, or something. So basically, like, it takes the brain, what is it, like 7 or 8 minutes to die. After you die, like your brain takes 7 or 8 minutes to die, and that in 2012 everybody died.
I'd heard some shit about that.
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy theory. It's interesting.
Well, that whole idea of a millennial reign having come and gone, really, I don't know, it strikes quite a chord with me. It really does. People say, well, but we have the signs that are from Revelations. Look, dude, if I was trying to trick you motherfuckers into thinking you were on another page, that's exactly what I'd do. But if you take a look back through history, you can see that those events have already happened. Those events already happened, man. What they call the fall of Rome was the destruction. That was Armageddon, and it didn't take 100 fucking years.
The greatest impediment to people's understanding of the Bible's timeline is that those are divinely inspired works and prophecies, and they take place in a dimension different than ours. They take place, they're showing him things to come in the future, which can only take place on a higher realm. Okay. And in that realm, time works much differently. So what he sees as days up there could be, an incredibly long time here. So 1 day is like 1,000 years, essentially. So when they say, 7 days is 7,000 years.
Right.
Which, interestingly enough, I've seen this video where they're talking about in a Bible from 1899 that in the year 1899, through this one biblical scholar's calculations, they're in the year like 1788, or I mean, not 1788, 5788 out of 6,000, right? So, and the interesting thing, if like there's one, it goes in with like the yugas of the Vedas, the yugas, Kali Yuga being the end time, right? If a day is 1,000 years, then 6,000 years would be 6 days, and we're approaching right now 6,000 years. And then it would be the day of rest, the 7th, which would be like I was talking about the one night about the Paralaya, the Mahalaya, those periods between the cycle where basically we get like creation is destroyed by Kali, called the Kali Yuga, and then creation experiences a rest where like the Brahman rests basically, before the next word.
Well, I wish they'd get the fuck on with it. My report will not be favorable.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying it'll even happen in our lifetime. These chapters could take,
are you shitting me? No. Listen, it's not only going to happen within your lifetime, it's going to happen in the next 5 years. Watch.
Well, we're in a period of major transition for sure. You're
going to see some shit you ain't never thought you'd see before.
Oh, I already have.
I mean, it's like right now going, there's just phenomenal, crazy shit going on. Like that thing you sent about the mud blowing up out of that.
What is that all about, man?
Where was that place at? Where was that again?
Shit, I don't even. I sent it to you.
I got it. I'm just gotta go and close this.
Pull it up. I'll be right back.
That's the Black Tom. That's racist. Let's see. I don't want to join your fucking Wikipedia. Go the hell away. There. Wait, I know where to find it. Oh, I can't really show it. It's too. It comes up too small because it's a TikTok thing. Hang on, let me see what it looks like.
It's like some sort of prehistoric disaster movie.
I don't know. Let me see if I can do this. Oh, wait. There we go. I think that'll work. Still kind of small, but all right, we're good.
But it's real, all right. A gigantic volcano of steaming hot mud as far as the eye can see. It's already swamped a dozen villages on the Indonesian island of Java, and I mean swamped. Houses, factories, mosques, everything just swallowed up by this relentless tide. 40,000 people have been left homeless, without jobs, without hope. The really infuriating thing is, geologists are convinced it's not a natural disaster. It's man-made, and the prime suspect is a big mining company with strong Australian connections.
How does that propaganda piece even make sense?
Those of you that are viewing this on a cell phone
has never seen anything like this.
Put it right up to your face. The radiation won't hurt you for this short period of time.
A gargantuan fountain of mud gushing from the bowels of the earth.
Bowels.
Look at that shit. What the fuck is that?
Some days the crater surges wildly. On other days it quietens down, but it never stops.
You're telling me a fucking
Too thick to drain away, it's burying everything in its path.
God.
Yeah, look at that shit, man.
This is a tragedy of errors backed by Australian money. Story of cover-up and suffering that goes all the way to Indonesia's presidential palace.
Yeah, dude, look at that
Look,
shit.
our first glimpse, there it is.
Yeah, it's a huge, huge eruption.
Those houses will just be...
They are gone
inundated
inside. I mean, they are just full.
Full of mud.
360 degrees all around you for kilometres is mud.
Even for a top geologist, this site defies belief. Dr. Mark Tingay from Adelaide University couldn't wait to see the granddaddy of all mud flows on Indonesia's main island of Java, just west of Bali.
It's fucking insane, man.
It's so unpredictable, we're allowed just a few minutes at the crater.
It's just incredible the amount of mud and stuff that's coming out of here. All this
Shit's hot too.
Boiling, bubbling cauldron about 100 metres across.
This is extraordinary. This is amazing. This is certainly the biggest mud volcano crater I've ever seen, and I've seen some of the biggest natural ones
What
in the
a
world.
dick. 40,000 people.
This would be, say, the temperature ranges from about 70 to 100 degrees Celsius, so it's very, very hot. You wouldn't...
Hey, what a dick, though. 40,000 people are homeless, and he's like, this is amazing. Excellent. This is awesome. People's whole fucking houses are under mud. Shit. Like,
I just think that's how those people are, though. You know, remember Steve Irwin? Remember that guy? He finally got, he had a stingray stung, it put a spike right through his heart.
yeah, but he didn't
was
see.
always going up and fucking with animals and shit. He said, "This is the most dangerous animal in the world.
Yeah, but
Let's
the-
poke it in the butt with a stick now and see what it does." You know, it's like it's gonna fuck you up, is what it's gonna do.
Look,
You know?
to equate him to that guy, like it would be the same as if Steve Irwin seen somebody get their fucking arm bitten off and went, "Oh, look, she's beautiful."
He
You know,
would have said
what?
that. He would have said that if a crocodile ate a person. He said, "Look at it roll the bloody meat around on the floor.
Yeah, he probably would have actually. Yeah, no shit.
It's quite a spectacle. These beasts are so amazing."
But yeah, that's fucking insane, man. So, you know, I don't know. We're definitely in a transition period of major change, but I think ultimately what change it's going to be depends on like how we view it and how we respond to certain situations. You know what I mean? The most important thing we can do is come together, because so their main weapon is the fiat currency system, right? That they want to turn digital, and then they want to link it up to us biometrically through these fucking implants or whatever smart dust, whatever they decide to do, right? Combination of them. So the fiat currency system is their primary weapon. It's the glue that holds everything together. If we could come together outside of, so the only thing that gives the dollar value is your belief in it. When prices begin to raise, right? If we all refuse to raise the prices, like say if businesses refuse to raise the prices, or like people just refuse to pay the prices, and we just barter with each other. You can still use money, even use what they printed. And we just barter with each other, keep the assigned values and everything the way that they're supposed to be.
They'll pass papers, Ryan. They'll make papers and they'll sprinkle them with dust, and the police will kill you for doing that. Look what they did to Eric Gardner in New York City. Choked him out to death. You know why? He was selling loose cigarettes. That's right. That bastard, that criminal son of a bitch.
You can't do that. It's illegal.
Are you shitting me? Yeah, right. Because it was written down on some piece of paper by some fucking asshat.
Right, because it was against commercial law under
Yeah.
contract as a trust company. He died because they're pirates, and that's what I'm saying. So if we just come together outside of them, like we don't need them. Like that image you show in your intro where it shows everybody's on their hands and knees supporting the table that all the wealthy people are eating at, and all you have to do is stand up. It's literally it. We create the value. We are the only valuable thing that's left in this country that's not already completely sold out to the wealthy people. We are owned like cattle, and our labor is the only thing that is valuable. Where we put our energy, our attention, our data is valuable. So where we place our attention and where we put our energy is the only thing that's actually truly valuable anymore. And the only thing that you actually truly own and can use and have an infinite supply of, right? And so all we have to do is shift that attention and energy out of their fiat currency system and into our own system.
See what True Niece says right here. This is it right here. This is the thing. People believe in money and they believe in the law, and mostly they believe in whatever is convenient.
We're fast approaching a transition, a time of major change where that's not going to be an option for them anymore. Okay, that this warm artificial womb that's been created for them, right? The middle class and all these things that they enjoy, the comforts of heat and electricity and food, and you can just go to the grocery store. Think about the difference between back when you had to go and butcher a cow, you know what I'm saying? Or go to a farmer who had a cow just to get some meat, right? Or something like, so now you can just go to the fucking store and buy 5 pounds of hamburger, right? Probably don't want to know what's in it and what's done to it, but you can get 5 pounds of hamburger conveniently. Come back on your electric or gas stove and cook that shit up. No fire necessary, none of that, right? And then you can go piss or shit in your toilet that flushes it away immediately. No outhouse, nothing like that. No having to shit in the woods, right? People we are comfortable. You know what I'm saying?
They're domesticated cats with your claws taken out.
And complacent, exactly. And that's the
issue. If the automatic feeder quits, you're done.
And when it goes away, people are going to have to figure out something, and maybe people will listen then. That we just stick together and participate, cooperate with one another, and participate in our own system, and tell that 1% of 1% of the population to go fuck themselves. That's all you have to do. It's literally that easy. So anybody ever seen the movie V for Vendetta, right? At the very end of the movie, what do? You got all the people wearing the Guy Fawkes masks, right? And you got the riot police marching at them, right? Marching at these people. And the people start marching towards the police, and you think they're going to clash and fight each other, right? And they don't. The people just walk right through the police. They don't try to hit them, resist them, nothing, walk right through them, and the police can't do anything, right? Because if we peaceful non-compliance, every spiritual teacher who taught peaceful non-compliance is absolutely correct. Large demonstrations of peaceful noncompliance are the best way to change anything. It's self-sacrifice. If they assault or do something to you, right, they look like a monster, right, when you are peacefully non-compliant, especially in large numbers. That's why they killed Martin Luther King. All right, the King family won a civil case against the United States government, or against the man who actually killed King, who his name was something Jowers. If you go on the King Family Foundation website, they have transcripts of the court case. And anyways, he implicated the United States government and intelligence agencies in the assassination of Martin Luther King. And one of the reasons Martin Luther King was assassinated is because he was scheduling a sit-in at the White House, okay, to end the Vietnam War. And this is a guy who drew crowds of millions of people, because back then people gave a fuck what was going on in their community, because there wasn't all these distractions. He's bred in circus, right? So he would have amassed at least 1 million people at the White House to end the Vietnam War. Do you know how problematic that would have been for the government? That would have been awful, right?
Yeah.
What are they gonna do? This guy's known for his peaceful, non-compliant protests. He inspires people. You can't have that shit. You can't have that. You can't be doing that. That's too much power. That's too much power in the right direction, right? Well, that's the whole thing, is now the frequency is being raised, okay? Things are changing. Consciousness is elevating, right? For many people.
The same old games are not working anymore. People are going, hey, wait a second, you've done this shit before, man. Quit this. You know, that's what you're seeing more of. It's like, wait, you're just doing the same thing over again.
Well, see, but why now all of a sudden? You see what I mean? The consciousness, and it's so when they pulled the shit that they pulled recently, right, to start taking their steps towards what their ultimate goal is, it almost seemed like it was rushed, like it was forced, you know? And when you start talking about like things that just, it almost seems like, so I remember thinking in 2016, there's no way Hillary Clinton's not going to win. And I mean, that's the most awful thing that could happen to this country. I think, right? One of the most awful things that could, I mean, Joe Biden's bad, but somehow Hillary Clinton would be much worse. I do think that's the case, because she's like, Joe Biden is like stupid, incompetent, evil, who is like, his controllers are frustrated because he's so fucking dumb, right? That he can't stop fucking.
You gave us a broken fucking toy.
Right. To where they're actually asking him to step down from the next presidential election, right? Like, bro, you're done. You're out of there. You're about to kick the bucket. Like, just sit down. Well, Hillary Clinton would have been an intelligent evil. So Joe Biden's a dumb, incompetent evil. Hillary Clinton's an intelligent, cunning, psychopathic evil, right? I mean, just how she laughed about murdering Gaddafi. But it seemed like, you know, there was no way she wasn't going to win, because the same way that they took the 2020 election, right? They have all these big, the Democratic Party is the party of the New World Order. Okay. It just is. Both parties work for the same side, but the Republicans are bought off, and the Democrats actively work towards furthering these agendas, right? So it's one looks the other way and the other one goes full steam ahead.
But there's still that internal struggle to be the one, you know, they still have that, and they let them play that. Now, the thing about Hillary, I was just thinking this, is that first time I saw her was in your grandma's little step down living room. Remember how that tri-level they lived in up there on Whittier looked? Okay.
Whittier, yeah.
And then there was the primaries running, and they were showing all the Democrat primary candidates. And I was thinking, I remember I was like, look at them. They're all up there. They got their wives all churched up as much as possible. And they either look like they could be a used car salesman or some kind of a fucking flim flam artist, you know, or a TV evangelist. You know, I mean, that's what I'm looking at. It's like, just look at the fucking hair. Anyway, they're panning through, showing all these different candidates and their wives. And they said, and here's Governor of Arkansas, William Jefferson Clinton, and the First Lady, his wife, Hillary Clinton. And when the camera panned on her, I shit you not, Ryan, I don't know, and I didn't know why at the time, but the hair on the back of my neck stood up and a chill ran down my spine. And I looked over, and your mom and Ed were sitting there like on the couch. And I looked over and I said, that woman is fucking evil.
Well, the Clintons
and
got
Ed's like,
trouble.
well, why do you think that? I said, dude, I don't know, man, but that just chilled up my fucking spine, and I don't like her.
What was the last Clinton side? The guy who committed suicide by he went out into the middle of the woods and took a table with him all the way out into the middle of the woods, like a pretty good distance out into the woods, and he took a table with him to stand on top of the table and put a noose around his neck and proceed to shoot himself in the chest with a shotgun. Come on now, dude, right? And this was literally in the article I read. It said you could tell that a shotgun was used because there was hardly any blood at the scene.
Yeah, I know, right? Come on now.
What?
Yeah. Look, all the way back with those people. They've got a laundry list of people. I don't know. I've got it. I think I might have it. Let me see if I go under my
yeah, they're pure evil, and I think it almost does seem like that's why I think like there are
computer shit.
There are people in the power structure that do not want to see the United States fall and are actively working against what's going on, right? But this cabal controls the media and the public eye. So that's like when they say the revolution will not be televised, that's what that means. It will not be televised. You won't see it on the mainstream news, but everywhere, all over the world, people are rising up. They're rising up, and they're not taking the shit. And the only reason that they're not even more successful than they already are is because they already gave up their firearms. But that's why if push comes to shove in this country, it's not gonna go the way that they plan it.
Well, I don't know. I have my doubts, and I'll tell you why. It's not the gun, and it's not the amount of guns. It's the heart behind the weapon. Okay? And that's what it always comes down to. That's why we got our ass kicked by a bunch of little 5 foot tall black pajama wearing fucking rice farmers. Okay? It's the heart behind the fucking weapon. All right? Now, I want you to think back over the last 2 years and all the people that were completely compliant, all the people that would wear a mask because they was told to. Okay? Those are going to be the people that will not stand up.
I'll say this, though. So it says right in the Declaration of Independence, because it's true. It's a fact of human nature. It's the way people work, is that men will suffer abuses while abuses are sufferable, right? So people could suffer a mask. You got to admit, if you had to go in, you had to do something like go into your bank or something. You put one on for a minute, right? Because there's a certain line where it was tolerable. It was a tolerable abuse. Okay. But I feel like in this country, there's enough. So the people in the cities are fucked. All right. But there's enough country people that are.
My whole resolve on that was like this.
Hold on.
In fact, I was confronted with it. They said, "Oh, you can't come in the bank. You can't if you're not wearing a mask." I said, "Cool. Give me my fucking money then."
Conservative.
Close it out right now. Go ahead.
Conservative country people, right? There's enough conservative country people in this country that have traditional family values. One insufferable abuse. See, that's one of the reasons for destroying the nuclear family, or the attempt to destroy the nuclear family, through television, through various civil rights movements. And things are done on their face. They look like they're a good, just, righteous cause, but their true intention is to undermine the moral fabric of our country. And the reason being is, see, if one half of the relationship is given all the power, and you can control that half through their children, right? Then it's very easily for that half to break the man. Also, through conditioning and television and media programs, they teach women what to expect in men, all the way from Disney movies where the princess is always.
They tell them. Listen, I've seen some skanky ass fucking shit talking on video and shit where they say, you know, what kind of a salary should a man that you marry get? And they're like 7 figures. And it's like, well, your whole fucking world's not out of proportion. What in wrong with you?
So they're teaching these
man?
girls what to expect in men. Plus, they see their dad if he's ran by, you know, the mind. They do that intentionally because, you know, men and women are equal, but they're complementary. They have strengths and weaknesses in different areas. And one of those just simple facts is that men operate more from the logic portion of their brain, where women operate more from the emotional cognitive portion of their brain. That's why women are more sensitive and nurturing, okay, and soft, and the things we love about women, you know, and just, you know, beautiful, feminine. That's the delicate half, but they're also strong in other ways. Like, I don't know one fucking guy that could ever go through pregnancy and childbirth. I fuck that shit.
Well, I don't know, man.
You know what I mean? But
how big a dick do you think Hillary Clinton got? I wanted to address that. Greg talking about that they had to tolerate her out there. She would fly out every month to a satanic church. If I'm not mistaken, it wasn't too far from either Sacramento or San Francisco. And I also believe that Paul Pelosi's wife was a big time member of that same coven, so to speak. So I just wanted to cover that real quick. I'd almost forgotten to add that. Highly connected to the Mothers of Darkness Castle in Belgium. If you don't know about that, look into it. Go, if you really want to see some shit on it, go on BitChute and look up Mothers of Darkness Castle, and you'll get some pretty fucking interesting information. It'll remind you of a famous speech by George Bush regarding 1,000 points of light. It's very interesting subject matter.
Well,
listen, this is the thing people don't get, man. These motherfuckers are out and out satanic. They are out and out fucking satanic. I mean, I'm not kidding. I'm talking about robe wearing, fucking mask wearing, blood drinking, killing fucking people, man.
At the Grammys, they did the satanic, but just to wrap up what I was saying, because that's the reason they want to destroy the moral fabric, the family unit, is because men and women who have something to live for have something to die for. And I personally think that when they do try to bring this, when they try to make their move, that it's not going to go as planned, because there's still a good number of people that have the balls that would die for their families. You know what I mean? I think there's a good number of people. And yeah, they do worship, and that's the thing. You've seen the Grammys, dude. Like, what was that? That was a full on. They're not even hiding it anymore.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's not only are they not just hiding it, they're flaunting it, and of course that's going to look rebellious, you know. And the younger are going to go, "Oh, that's so fucking cool! Look, at my parents hate it so bad," you know. And that's the thing. Oh, my parents hate this. You know, I don't know how many kids I knew in high school. They were like, man, oh, man, my mom and dad, they threw away my fucking Black Sabbath albums and my Iron Maiden. They said it was all Satan music and shit. And it's like, what? You know, the rest of us kids are like, what the fuck? And this shit was going on.
Yeah, you guys fucked us up. But the 80s generation fucked us up. But that's the whole thing, is that people who are despairing and miserable, they like covet that type of environment, like that dive into hedonism as an escape. And that's what satanic and stuff in darkness represents for those people, is a sort of hedonistic fantasy paradise where they can have all the material pleasures that they could think of, right? And so people, when they openly do these satanic rituals and stuff, it's not just kids that are drawn in, but there's been a generation raised of adults that are in their, say, between 17 and my age, that are actually fully okay.
Oh, listen, I see him with the fucking jewelry, all that shit, man. And look, that's supposed to be part of that the tribulation right there, is the fact that we're going to watch those around us fall to it. We're going to watch those around us fall to it, and we'll be, you know, unable to do anything about it. I mean, it's sort of like this, man. You got to figure this. It's sort of like, can you imagine you got good cover on the beach at fucking D-Day? You got good cover, and you're watching all these motherfuckers coming up on the beach getting fucking whacked right all around you, and a few of them are making it through. Those few that are making it through, those are us. Those are us because we know what's happening. We realize what the fuck is going down.
It's an interesting way to look at it.
You know, and yeah, it sucks to watch people fucking fall to it. It does. It really does. It sucks. It sucks so bad to watch the casualty go up in favor of the enemy. But you know what? That's going to happen.
And there's people that side with.
Within a few days, we will reach Saint Mary-Église.
So we live in that system of duality, like the caduceus I showed on my show the other night, and you got the two currents, the light and the darkness, right? There's a constant interplay between the two, and from the microcosm to the macrocosm, existence in this dimension, our knowable reality is created by the oscillation between these two polarities. And what brings creation into harmony is balance. Okay, so it always finds balance. It will always find balance. But what we're experiencing is an oscillation. That's what the ages are. We're experiencing an oscillation between the light and darkness, right? And just like anything else, subject to the principle of rhythm, the ebb and flow of the tides, because that's part of it. The 7 Hermetic principles, that's what they describe as that oscillation. That's those are the principal laws of creation, manifestation, not like the moral and ethical laws like the commandments, but just like this, say, the metaphysical, scientific laws. And we're in this transitioning of the oscillation right now. You see what I'm saying? But what's going to happen?
Yeah, we're on it. We're coming to that age,
right?
During the procession of a great year. I believe it's like a 72,000 year period to which we come back to the same spot again.
Well, that's what I mean. So imagine a pendulum swinging slowly between light and darkness. You know what I mean? And that's what happens when you return back to the place where you were. You're in the center of the pendulum. You're achieving a balance between light and darkness. Now, the idea of a golden age would be able to maintain that balance between light and darkness and not let either side become too overwhelming, right?
Well, no, you got to keep the balance between the two, the perfect mixture. You're always trying to you want to try to embody the perfect mixture. This is where that whole thing of mind, body, and soul comes from. When you've got those three things in harmony with one another, then that's the balance. But it's a constant struggle because we do things to feed one that borrow from the other, and then we have to do more for that one to get it. So you have to really be careful where you get your energies from when it comes like that.
The darkness is necessary for creation and new life. Like that's how life works on this plane. And in a physical way, it's represented by the necrotic effects of decay.
Is that TV in the background loud? Can you hear it?
No.
Okay, cool.
The necrotic effects of decomposition are an example of what darkness does, right? And that principle exists as the spirit is like this. The spirit is the molder and comes down and impregnates the darkness, which is the clay of matter. You see what I mean? And the interplay between the two is a constant renewing, a constant cyclical renewing that manifests as time, essentially, but also the rising and falling, the birth, death, and rebirth of everything in existence. It experiences this and goes through this cycle on different timelines. You know what I mean? But that darkness manifests in morality. There's actually spirits and entities and an entire divine force behind this aspect of creation. And that's what we consider evil or darkness, right? The spirits of non-being and there's the constant creation is the constant interplay between these two forces is like a great drama inside of the mind of the ultimate creator, which is that God, that creator is unknowable to us. Name is ineffable, right? But beneath that, there's a hierarchies of beings that were created by the creator to create, and it's an infinite descending ladder of creation, essentially. Well, not infinite. It's obviously has a stop somewhere, but we don't know what that is.
Look,
So,
I am 10 subscribers from my 300 mark, bro.
Nice.
Just saw another one pop up.
So it's interesting in these beings. I believe that. So I mean, I think most people by now, and they are trying to get ready for some disclosure. I think they're going to use it to their advantage, like maybe in a blue beam type or attempt to. What are you doing?
What? I just blew you up.
Why?
Because let you just be. So while you're talking about that, go ahead. You don't like it? Be there. You don't want to be there?
Not particularly.
Oh, I wish I was using my fucking other camera thing. I could make you into like a potato or something.
Well, wouldn't that be nice of you? It could be like a blue beam type of situation, though. But I do think there are other entities here. I think there are other entities here. Wouldn't you agree that there's probably other entities?
There's always been interdimensional
that's what I'm saying.
Beings around us.
Exactly.
I mean, if this goes back time in memoriam, we've been, that's myth. No, it's not. There's all kinds of fucking stories of people interacting with interdimensional beings. But that being said, I think you're onto something with that blue beam thing. Because, all right, look here. Shit's coming down fast. Okay, the whole thing with the Chinese spy balloon, it wasn't a fucking Chinese spy balloon. It was one of the other satellites that we have up there. It got down low. People seen it. Made a big spectacle out of it. Said it was from China. Waited till it's over the water so that nobody can find any wreckage. It says NASA on it. They're worried about people? Really? Come on. Let's get fucking real. The thing was over unpopulated parts of the world of the country, and they could have shot it down at any time. Secondly, they use $500,000 fucking missile to shoot down a goddamn balloon. Now think about that. Why not just put a little hole in it and let it slowly come down? What would be wrong with that? No.
That's actually a good question. Why would they blow it up like that?
Right. So here, over the water. So you're going to shoot $500,000 fucking missile at it with a F-22 Raptor.
How are you going to recover anything from it if you hit it with a missile?
Well, it's just it. I guess they hit the balloon with the missile and let the fucking wreckage thing fall to the earth. I mean, they did the same thing. What I'm saying they could have done with a goddamn 30-06.
But it's a damn missile. How do you know it's not going to destroy the equipment?
Well, I didn't see an explosion. I just saw the balloon pop. I didn't see no
shot a missile like a dart.
Or shot right through it or whatever. I don't know what the fuck happened.
So
I didn't see a warhead go off.
A dart, like a missile, like a dart.
Did you see? Yeah, I mean, did you see a warhead go off? I certainly didn't.
Well, it's interesting. Two curious things, and it could be this actually authentically could be coincidence, but it's very strange that a person happened to be filming at the same time that they blew it up. And secondly, it's also convenient that he pans away when the missile hits. Why would he turn his camera over away from when the missile hits?
Well, I've seen other footage of it hitting the fucking balloon. The balloon pops. That's all you see happen. The balloon pops and some shit falls to the ground. I don't see any warhead go off or anything else like that. So all he did was use a $500,000 spear is what they did and pop the balloon instead of just putting a small hole in it and let it slowly drift down to the ground as it lost its buoyancy.
What could the explanation be for those? Could be a lens flare. Now it could be a lens flare, right?
Oh, what, that thing that flew by real fast?
Yeah.
That wasn't no fucking lens flare.
I know it wasn't, but
the camera wasn't moving fast enough for that.
Just for the sake of argument, that is always minute possibility some camera malfunction. But otherwise, it definitely didn't look like a camera malfunction, and that was something that was that balloon has to be related to whatever it was that was monitoring it, and something's in the mix right now. Something's going on. Like I said, we're in the midst of a great.
Well, that's what I was saying. I think they're getting ready.
Feel it.
I think they're getting ready to do Blue Beam.
I can feel
They've
it.
been dropping hints. Look, they've been dropping hints. Okay, outside of the predictive programming of all your goddamn invasion from space movies, going all the way from the 50s up to Independence Day, all this shit. And especially the newer ones all have these, like Independence Day and shit like that. They all have this same theme about them, where all the people of the world have to forget their differences and come together to fight up.
Put out those movies. Yeah,
Ronald Reagan did a fucking speech about saying exactly those things, that same thing, and he says, so they've been doing this, and then here in the last couple of years we saw where they were declassifying. And then we were getting to see this gun camera footage of them chasing these things. And, you know, they're admitting that they're out there now all of a sudden. When I was a little kid, they had fucking whole Air Force outfits going out discrediting people that saw UFOs, called Project Blue Book. Okay. They even had a TV show about it. And now it's like, oh, yeah, they exist. We see them. We don't know what they are. Da, 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 da. Okay. Right. So that I know is probably mostly lies, because they do know what they are. They've been fucking around digging with this shit for this much time, like my whole life at least, and going before. So that's a lie. They know where they're from. Now, whether they could be ours, I don't know. And then we got to think about who is us. So we've got this aerial phenomenon's happening. Okay, so the Chinese balloon fiasco got everybody looking up anyways. You got everybody looking up. They're saying, oh, these Chinese fucking balloons are everywhere now. And then they shoot down an unidentified object in Alaskan airspace, and they don't know what it is. They're not saying it's a balloon. Said it was about the size or bigger than a car. What are we talking about here? What in the world are we talking about? So did that really happen? Or is this more of the get ready? Now they start putting it to where people are going to see it in public, and, you know, God knows whether they turn it into an aggressive invasion or under the guise of someone coming to help us, you know?
I think it'll probably be an invasion of sorts. But here's another thing. I personally think that as far as the blue beam, well, there are beings that are here, I think, right? Personally, I mean, it's in every culture across the world, the same things, you know, and those beings. So we have to think about like various occultists, for instance, like Jack Parsons or Aleister Crowley, right? And these are who you would consider like dark occultists. Okay, they're the ones that are on the dark side of the thing. And they were communicating. So Aleister Crowley wrote Thelema, right, which is the book of the law. There's actually a whole religion made out of it.
Thelema.
Yeah, Thelema. Yeah, Thelemites they're called. And there's actually a whole spiritual path, and then the OTO as well. But the way that I've actually read this book personally, and it's very interesting. It's primarily based on Egyptian. So the symbolism is Egyptian that's used in it. But basically what it's telling you, what I got out of it is it's your point of experience in a field of infinite awareness, et cetera, that there is no law higher than love. And the way that he got this book was he went to the Pyramid of Giza with his wife, and he sat and he meditated, and he channeled this being, and he dictated this being named Lamb, dictated this book to him. And he dictated it to his wife, and his wife wrote it down, and it became that book, right? Well, later on in life, when he was asked to write a picture or draw a picture of what this being looked like, it looks like a gray fucking alien. The being's name is Lamb, right? So now we jump over to another guy. We've got Jack Parsons, who was a good friend of Aleister Crowley's, also an occultist. Now, he did magical rituals at the fucking military base he was working at. He founded Jet Propulsion Labs, right? And that's still a military defense contractor to this day, right? And he was working on engineering rockets. And one almost has to wonder if, like, is what him as well as like Werner von Braun, if they had gotten this technology through their occult rituals by communicating with these entities. So that leads us to another thing. We know that the earth is not, yes, that's land. So we know that the earth is not a globe. Well, we know, people believe what they want. I don't know what the earth looks like, but I know it's not what they tell us, right? Secondly, we know that they can't go to space. They openly admit they can't get past the Van Allen radiation belt, it's the firmament, right?
Well, that's only because they discovered it. Before they discovered it, they were able to go through it and go.
Right. So now we're looking at it. So there's no space. Well, at least whatever space actually is, it's very likely the heavens, right, where the light beings, everything is, and so we know they can't go to space, but we do know that they are obviously communicating with some entity. So a little known fact that Aleister Crowley worked for the British MI6 during World War II to help counter Hitler's occultists and magicians. And he came up with the whole V for victory thing that you see all the pictures of as a form of sigil magic to counter Hitler's sigil magic. And you guys don't have to believe this stuff. Doesn't matter if you do or don't, because the people who run the world do know it's real and they use it. Right?
Yeah, whether you
has to
believe
do
it or
with
not,
sacred-
they're doing it, man.
Yeah, it has to do with sacred geometry, frequency, the way the human mind works, esoterically, the spirit, the soul, and they know how this works, and what they're communicating with is not. So what they tell you is aliens. They're not aliens. They've been here. I don't know what
Wasn't
they
there
are.
something? Now, I remember this from a few years ago. That now this was a number of years ago. I'd run across a couple of obscure news stories about them happened when they were building CERN, and they had to quit construction one time.
Huh.
And
that's interesting. I didn't know that, Jeebus.
Yeah, they had to quit construction one time and dismantle it because for some reason a half of a fucking sandwich appeared in the tube. This was in the tube somehow. And that was the only way they could get it out. Then another time, not long after that, another thing happened where there was a bird trapped inside. And nobody could figure out how the fuck the bird got inside there. It was a dove. And it halted their construction even longer to get the fucking bird out and then redo everything that they had to do to get in there. This thing's supposed to be all like totally clean, right? And then I remember something about a story about a guy that they arrested. He said he traveled there. They caught him on the grounds and they'd arrested him and he was in the Swiss jail. And he said that he was there. They have to stop that facility. And so they went out of the room, left him in the cell. And when they came back a couple of minutes later, the fucking dude was gone, man.
Interesting.
Completely gone. And I remember this is about 20, maybe 25 years ago, maybe a little longer. And I remember reading about those things and I was like, that's really crazy. And I just now remember thinking about it. But
that's what we speculate about what might have happened to Jack Parsons. I didn't know that about Jack Parsons.
Yeah. I mean, well, you got to think like this. It's like I said before, if somebody from say 19, if you can go forward, you can apparently go back, I guess. I don't know what the particulars of that would be, but I mean, so if they left in 1942 and they're only due to arrive at midnight 2023 on when it turns to 2:11, that's like 7 minutes from now, right? It'd be like, boom, if a bunch of dudes in Nazi outfits just like showed up, you're like, where the fuck did these guys come from, man? That was instantaneous for them, but through the timeline, it took 70 fucking years for them to get.
See, here's a thought I often have is, and it's just, it's just a theory. I just think, but I think that possibly we were probably engineered, like both the ancient alien theory and the Bible are simultaneously true, right? Because ancient is just the material scientific way of identifying the way creation happened. Right. So I do believe we were engineered by a race of advanced beings that are interdimensional. And those advanced beings probably exist outside of what we consider our space time, because that only exists in this dimension. Right. So, you know, you never know, like, so there could be, you know, what we consider angels and God could actually just be a battle between two forces that exist on a level beyond our comprehension as an infinite drama that plays out over and over again throughout cycles. That's kind of what I'm getting at. And what if, like, maybe this is like, you know, this could be like purgatory or something, man. Like, you know, you can never know. You could just like maybe that's why the Buddhists, I think that's why the Buddhists teach liberation, because that's the only way to break out of the cycle is to basically free yourself of the karmic chains that this realm that cause you to have to keep reincarnating. So the Buddhists have an interesting teaching. The theory is that and the Hindus, that's why they have a caste system in India, or they had one, where, like, because they believe that if you're reincarnated in a low caste, that's because you were like a piece of shit in the life before, and that it's things that you did that caused you to have to pay that karmic debt. And that's why they didn't feel bad about treating the lower castes like shit, because they felt like that was their lot, that was what they're supposed to do. And the Buddhists teach something similar too, that basically you acquire when you have attachments and you create consequences through your actions, you create karma. And when you generate negative karma, it becomes like debt. And that debt you have to work off like an indentured servant.
Yep.
And this would relate to like Job. And you incarnate as many times as it takes for you to work off that karmic debt and learn what you have to learn. So maybe it's like
I don't know, man. I think it's a choice.
A reformatory.
I think if you realize that it's a choice, it's harder to get coerced into coming back. Because I think that coming back is based on a lie, based on hope that you have. Like, what would you do? It's not much different than the guy luring a kid into the van with puppies. Okay? It's not much different. Because here come into the light, and you be with your friends and all your family, and we're all here, you know, whatever, right? Come here, little kid, I got puppies, look, you know. Okay, I'm not going this time, because I think that's the fucking trick. I think that's the trick, because you get tricked each time. You go in with the idea, you go through with the idea thinking, oh yeah, I'll be able to do better this time. I know kind of what's going on. Oh yeah, and you get a memory wipe. Too bad for you.
Well, I believe your soul carries memories that are latent, and your genes have latent expressed traits that like trauma can unlock and stuff. The human genome is fascinating.
Now I have to drag me kicking and screaming back into this fucking insane asylum.
This is, I think, to transcend. It's the Buddha, like how the Buddhists teach, and Christianity, Gnostic Christianity teaches. You know, Gnostic Christianity teaches that we're trapped here by something called the demiurges that hijacked creation, right? And that basically, ultimately, the planets and the demiurges are manifesting this reality and keeping our souls trapped here to use our energy. Okay, so that's the Gnostic teaching. And when you think about that, the Buddhists may have, and like Christ taught, the kingdom of heaven is within you. But when you learn how to unconditionally love through non-attachment. So Buddhism teaches the attachment is the root of all suffering. There's two types of suffering: suffering that leads to more suffering, and suffering that ends suffering. And it basically depends on whether or not the person is tired of suffering and is ready to learn. Then you learn that non-attachment. So attachment is basically you have an experience. You like that experience. So you attach to that experience in your mind, and you develop a habit and a belief that will bring you more of that experience. Now, another thing happens simultaneously. When that desire is created, so is that fear. And that's what the Buddhists recognize. When there is attachment, there is fear. Because once you're attached to something and you desire it, you fear not having it, you fear losing it, you fear being seen in a certain way. So attachment creates fear. And they recognize by just simply being and not becoming attached. And the only way to end attachment is to conquer your thoughts, to be able to stop thought and recognize when your thoughts are sticking to something instead of just observing and appreciating an experience, because ultimately that is the only thing that exists is the present right now. It's an infinite, ever unfolding moment is what time truly is. It's an ever unfolding moment. And all you can really do is be present, because the past doesn't exist and the future is just a concept. So when you create that non-attachment, it allows you to unconditionally love, because then you can appreciate people and things for what they are, not for what they do to you or for you. And that's because you don't have that attachment anymore. So now you see people for who they truly are. You see that hot chick for the ugly person she is, or the beautiful person she is, but you're not seeing her tits and ass anymore. You have this ability to unconditionally love. And what also happens is you lose your ability to hate, right? And it takes years and years of meditation, study, and practice to achieve a constant state of this. Because even me right now, if people have been watching for a while, I can lose my temper, right? But it's an ever ongoing process. But the very first thing you have to do is realize the illusion of duality in this, that each thing contains an aspect of its opposite in it. Good has bad within it, bad has good within it. You have to choose what you're going to look at.
There's I'm along the line of the soul reclamation idea. I think that this whole thing is a soul reclamation trap.
That's the Gnostics. That's what they teach. Have you read the Gnostic teachings?
I have read some. The thing I find some of their stuff a little bit too far in the other direction too. It's just like, boy, I don't really care for CNN. Oh, well, have you seen Fox? Oh, okay. And it's sort of like, oh, okay. So I go along in the middle path of that. And I find the relevant aspects of it. When it starts to get into the fanaticism aspect, I just go, okay, we're done there.
See what
that's somebody else's attempt, and that's why I'm so vehemently against religion. See,
so
what people don't get is that religion and God have little to nothing to do with one another.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, I run across atheists and shit, and they say, well, there is no evidence of God. And I'm like, well, what would be your evidence of God? Perhaps you need to change your view from a completely outward look and look from omnidirectional. You need to look inward as well as outward, as well as inward, in order to actually seek something like that. It's like you're looking too hard. You're looking too hard for some kind of a physical, worldly fucking explanation, whereas it's between those. It's between this and the next. This and the other world, that which we don't see.
See, what I've done is over the years, I started in Christianity, but what I've ended up doing, I've always been drawn to esotericism and occultism. I've ended up studying, when you go down that path and study esoteric teachings, you necessarily touch upon all of the religions, because if you study all of the religions and identify the underlying correlations that they all share, and especially with the figures from each religion, then the true story of creation starts to flesh itself out. And you realize that they're like all of the religions, the secrets of our creation have been taken by whatever's controlling this place and has been pieced out into all of the religions, and the names changed and the scenarios changed, but the archetypal situations and characters remain the same. Like, how many different names can you have for Hermes, the messenger god, is Thoth, the scribe god, is Mercury in Rome, is Lucifer, as well as an aspect of Lucifer, right? So is Odin, and Odin also associates to Mercury. And when you look at the traits that these gods have, you realize that they're describing a force, a being that's like beyond. These are personifications of an entity that is beyond human comprehension.
Damn it!
And ultimately that's why I feel religion's important. But the control system, like you said, is exactly that. It's a control system. If people could get rid of other people's interpretations of things and just study these things for themselves and come to their own conclusions, then religion would be useful.
Well, here's the thing I find too. This is what I've come to, and it's probably as I'm getting older, I find other options to things as well. And it's like this. It's like some people say, well, I don't see any evidence of God. I don't believe there's God. And I have to look at it like this. It's like, well, perhaps God doesn't want to talk to you, man. Maybe maybe you're not one of his, you know? I mean, I have to admit that I believe there are a great number of NPCs. I mean, that's not to mean that I would treat them any differently. But still, you know, when I hear that, it's like, wait a minute, man. Okay, who are you trying to convince, me or yourself?
What is the force that causes your heart to beat? That's what I ask a guy
Yeah.
like that. What is the force that causes your heart to beat? Do you cause your heart to
It's
beat?
an electrical response due to chemicals and carbon, and because a fucking alien jacked off in a pond, and there was some retarded fish got up, and they had a fucking retarded fish monkey baby who found another retarded fish monkey baby, and then
Like
they
I said,
became dinosaurs. And
I do believe we were created by higher dimensional beings in this dimension, but I believe it was in a dimensional way. There's no like where they try to get people to believe that there's aliens sitting there physically engineering and splicing monkeys with people and shit. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is we were made like the 7 cosmic rays of the planetary consciousnesses are what comprise our ethereal body. And we're predominantly one. That's our sun sign. And then all of the other planets also cast an aspect and energy into us that we express. We're like a prism. That's why Pink Floyd uses that as the dark side of the moon thing. That's what we are. We are that prism.
You want to know why they use that dark side of the moon as a prism?
Well, think about it. The light of life that lights your consciousness is shown through your eyes. And what happens, you know, like one of those lamps that has all the shapes cut out in it, the lampshade, and you set it over the lamp and it projects those shadows on the wall. You know what I'm talking about? That's what the light of your consciousness does, is it projects the shadows of your beliefs and your prejudices and your experiences out into reality. We are lighting this world. There's nothing else lighting. We are lighting this world. We are the prism of the 7 cosmic rays.
My grandmother had one of those fucking lamps. She had a lamp that this thing would turn and make these shadows of fucking people and stuff on the walls and shit. Some kind of a really cool thing to have in the 30s, I guess.
When I imagine it, I imagine like a white light shining through a prism, and that initial prism is the ultimate trinity that we can't really scarcely conceive of. Then it shines through, creates the 7 planetary rays, right? That all coalesce again into us as a prism. And then we shine that out into creation and manifest in creation. You see what I'm saying? And when the rays come through the first prism, or when they come through the second prism and to create us, they're predominantly one over the other. They're all a unique mixture of the rays that create unique frequencies and personalities, and that we are in fact light beings. And each person has their own unique frequency that's different. We're all on the same bandwidth, you know what I mean? And we're all on the same channel, except just off by a couple points or a point or two.
Well, it's just like you have 2 radio stations on the 98 bandwidth of the FM dial. You got 98.2 might be elevator music, 98.3 is some kind of bluegrass, 98.4 is a whole nother fucking thing, but they don't interfere with one another because of the fact that even though they're on the 94 bandwidth, they're on that just that point off, like you're talking about, that little point off, and your frequency is unique signature, much more than even your fingerprint.
Well, that's how they can lock on to you.
Yeah, well, they could
They get you
theoretically
specific
track you.
frequency.
Theoretically, they could track you if they knew the frequency of your DNA specifically, and
That's
given
absolutely.
sensitive enough equipment, they could track anybody anywhere, even just buck naked. That's it.
Yep. Yep, and they do. And that's the whole, but that's the thing, is because we don't know what we are. They know what we are. And there's things that do not have the same ability as us, right? To create and to shine that light. The beings of darkness don't have that creative spark that we have. And that's why they hate us.
I'm making global warming with this smoke.
They want to destroy us. They seek that, but it's also their nature. The beautiful thing is creation is a perfect timepiece, and God in its ultimate form, we can't conceive of. The entirety of creation is a beautiful timepiece. As the interplay between light and darkness. You know what I mean? And so it's very real while we're in this reality. But when we transcend, it's kind of like you see it for the matrix that it is, sort of like how when we're on a higher frequency. So everybody who's watching this channel, we're all on the same bandwidth where we're more awake. We're a higher frequency than say, so we're all coalescing on our levels of frequency in society. And so people who would tune into this, I would say, are on a higher frequency because you're more awake.
I said
conceive
a lot of the shit that goes on like this, and I'm sure that there's people in here. I know Jeebus is this way for real, and you are too. That things that we see playing out, I don't really get so flapped about them as I do amazed and amused at the same time. Because I know that there ain't shit that I can do about this crazy shit, but I like to look at it in its humorous nature, because it's almost like it's unbelievable. It's like a comedy tragedy. It really is. It's almost like a comedic tragedy. And at some points you have to wonder, it's like, nobody else seeing this? Is nobody else really seeing this shit? And the answer is, for a great many, no, they're not. Not at all. They'd listen to what we're talking about and think we're completely out of our fucking minds. Right?
Right.
But those that were dancing seemed quite insane to those that could not hear the music. And that's where it comes down to right there.
Well, and
that's what I think that's pretty much sums what you're saying, is the fact that these people, the people that are here, the people that are listening and watching and resonating with this this higher frequency information and broadcast are of that like mind. I'm sure that many of the people that are watching kind of view this kind of shit like, I mean, what in the world? I mean, it's just a comedy of errors every day when I get up. I get up today and I turn on the thing, or was it maybe yesterday? I don't remember, but I look and there's something about why Jill Biden kissed Kamala Harris's old man, her husband, on the fucking lips like she was married to him or some shit, man. Did you see that? It's a State of the Union address, man. It's just, they just fucking, yeah. Hang on a second. I'll find it. Just a second. This will blow your fucking mind.
Anybody in the audience, I was going to post a link to my channel earlier. I also talk about that esoteric, those esoteric sites. I'm going to put a link in the description or in the comment section.
Yeah, there we go. Let's see. This is good enough. It's all right. I got to get the commercial going. Hold on. So this is at the, he could have just said, yeah, man, shit's fucked up. Peace. And walked off stage.
I seen bits and pieces, other parts of it. I heard it was a train wreck and he's up there lying his ass off and people are laughing and calling him out on it and shit.
So this was at the State of the Union here. So let's see. She might have slipped him a little bit of tongue. You don't know. I think I got that at fast playback too. No, it's normal. Okay.
The dude just kissed another dude. Sick.
These people are horrible, man.
You get it though.
What a doofus.
Mr. Speaker, Madam Vice President, our First Lady and Second Gentleman, good to see you guys up there. Members of Congress.
He probably had his hand up her ass during the speech.
They looked awfully close. I don't know. Aren't those people all like eyes wide shut anyway? Right? He's probably cool with it. You know? Yeah, it's these people, everybody's on a higher frequency that tunes in here, I would say, and we all coalesce together in our communities and on YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And,
viewers to Z's broadcast on Sunday.
I was looking at that. I have no fucking idea what he's talking
Chat
about.
demand my interview if he drops me. If I don't stay or dragging. Oh, listen, dude, I have no interest in even talking to that lunatic Z for any reason whatsoever.
Tommy, huh?
Yeah. Listen. No, that dude is just a problem. He's a problem. He tried to start a problem with me for no fucking reason whatsoever. So
Yeah,
I
that
don't
was
want
weird.
anything to do with his ass at all. That's all.
That's the point of keeping everybody locked in fear or fighting with each other and in division is a lower vibrational frequency. It keeps people from being able to conceive of what's going on. If you're just caught in your day-to-day carnal lower nature stuff, you'll never see what's actually happening in the world. So, you know, they even say, like, so say take the flat earth movement for instance, I was reading on a comment thread on the flat earth mockery and ridicule page on Facebook, because I don't know, I read their comment threads to see the dumb shit they say. And that was that's one of the things they said, was that the flat earth movement is comprised of primarily conservative Christians. So what that means is that people that are awake to certain lies and fallacies are spiritual or have a spiritual foundation, and that's one of the things that aids them in being able to. So you know what, one of the people that are the globe people that are mocking flat earth, you know what they put underneath that comment? This guy got a tattoo of Jesus banging himself, and he put that picture on our, just as if to illustrate the point of how these godless people are the ones that believe this bullshit. You know what I mean?
I see a high degree of atheism amongst those people. Which, hey, if that's your thing, that's your thing. Like I said, maybe you're not meant to know. Maybe you're not meant to know God. You know, that's not my trip. But it's like almost a vehement desire to want to convert me into atheism and to indulge into this fucking nonsense. And I'm like, no, I don't care about that.
To validate their own beliefs.
Well, yeah, it's
they're
validation.
afraid of being wrong.
That's so, and I don't fear that. I'll take mockery. I don't care. I'll take ridicule. I don't give a fuck, man. It's It doesn't define me. You know, I stand where I stand, and that's where I'll stand, and I don't care.
The truth stands on its own.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And it's like I say, like with the whole fucking globe nonsense, whatever it is, to me it appears level, but I know what it isn't. It definitely is not a whirling, spinning
And that's
fucking
what I
ball
say.
in a void. Okay.
I don't know what it looks like, but I know that it's not what
So
it is.
I can rule that crap out. All right. So once I do that, you know, and it's like, no, I'm not. We're not going there anymore. That's not on the slate. That's not on the slate. That's impossible.
Right.
So what I was getting at is that is why that must be taught. That's why that has to be taught.
Because it's the outrageous. It is
because it's against all your observations and senses. And so this is why your observations and senses are completely fucking wrong, is because of this equation over here. Oh, okay. Sure.
Makes sense. Yeah, that is well.
Next time you got a tummy ache, make up an equation to make it stop hurting. You know?
Well, if it makes you feel any better, at least one group of my students.
Welcome. That's
hello. I was just going to brag. I have a Friday night. I do a Friday night. It's a lab portion, and today we were experimentally determining gravitational acceleration. And I was very impressed with one of my groups, because this is the first time they started taking a hardcore science lab. So technique is important as well. But they found the experimental value was, sorry, I want to get this right, 9.678. They're going to be good scientists. So, did he leave? I
don't know.
I
was bragging to him.
I'm out of cavalry range. Hang on, I'll be right there.
Okay.
I can hear you.
How's everybody doing?
I'm
for
good,
the
man.
corporate friction. I forgot if you told me your first name. If you didn't, that's fine. If you don't use it, but hello. Good to see you again.
Yeah.
I've checked out a few of your streams, just sort of popped in.
Yeah, I think I've seen you in that.
Sometimes they go over my head.
Yeah, they intentionally make that stuff complicated for a reason. It's written in an entirely different language.
Well, yeah, I mean, we need lawyers.
Well,
I mean, if it wasn't
to
so complicated, then they'd be out of a job.
Well,
I was thinking about it. Speaking of out of a job, it's like, we're going to electric cars.
No, we're not. It's not even a good idea.
Well, I wonder if there's any fear within the industry, like those who are studying to be mechanics and this, because I mean, there's a whole industry on taking care of internal combustion cars. And the reason being is they're complicated. The more complicated a machine is, the more stuff which will break down. Electric cars are stupid simple.
Electric cars are inefficient.
And if everybody goes electric, then what would be the need for
They
these
require
shops?
gas to charge them. They require gas to charge
Oh
them.
yeah, of course.
Make them irrelevant. And then they do not work in extremely cold temperatures. They won't charge in extremely cold temperatures. They're highly corrosive to the environment. And if you
the batteries are not good.
Those batteries are like $40,000, man.
If you get into an accident in one, you have the chance of completely exploding and probably taking out the people who hit you as well. And
or in some cases, park it in your garage. So I mean, yeah, there are risks like that. The one thing they do is they accelerate really. That's fun. In fact, if you get the higher end Tesla,
you get that like how it does in a golf cart. Those electric golf carts, when you park the fucking, when they're fully charged and you hit that little pedal, man, that little son of a bitch will take off on you. I worked at those apartments you and your old lady lived at there at Cass Lake, and that's what I got around the grounds on, was one of those little fucking go-kart, one of those little golf carts all the time. That's what I took around.
Yeah,
I love that shit.
Well, it's because when they accelerate, the rate of acceleration is constant, because the electric motor doesn't have to switch gears.
Right.
It just
straight
starts
to full power.
Whereas
Buddy
with a
of mine has
car,
a
the
Tesla.
curve goes up and then drops and this. And so, in fact, in the Tesla, you can accelerate faster than G. So
what if there was a way, think about this, guys. What if there was a way that you could actually harness the electricity out of the aether somehow amplify it and
yeah,
be able to run your automobile that way anywhere you want to go, anywhere. You wouldn't have to be in any one special area. You never run out of gas. You never
That's
run
dangerous.
out.
That's dangerous thinking now. A buddy of mine has a Tesla, said that they actually had to tone the torque back so that it didn't break the bearings.
Yep.
Yeah, because it's too powerful. And yeah, so that is a good thing about them. But the truth is they don't want to go to electric cars. They want to remove people, period. So, and then they want you to share cars like public transportation and shit. I don't think
They want to limit your ability to go any place you want to go.
Yeah,
that's
restrict
what they
your
want to do. They want to restrict your fucking movement. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, getting rid of personal vehicles in America is like getting rid of guns. It's
that's what
I don't think. Well, here's what you got to ask yourself, Nick. You got to ask yourself this, Nick. Who in the fuck has that right to tell me what I can and can't have?
There's gonna be a cataclysm that's gonna force. They're gonna try to force people in that direction. They're gonna make people punch drunk like they did between World War I, World War II, Great Depression, Korean War, all that shit. They made everybody punch drunk till they had their new system in place.
Or
in the 70s.
How many people in America? How many people in America? You reckon? Just adults?
Like
200 million or something?
All right.
No, adults would probably be like, I don't know, 100, like adults that aren't elderly and no children.
No, I'm just talking about that are of age, that they're adults.
Oh, probably like 200 million, I would say, would be a good guess. Yeah.
So how
18 and over, 210 million.
Okay, that's pretty close then. 210 million fucking people that are allowing 535 of the most crooked, immoral, deceptive people in the world to dictate what they can and cannot do. Can you imagine the ludicrousy of such a thing? 210 million people allowing 535 of the worst criminals, liars, money launderers.
Well, I can't really fault them for the money laundering.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that's really kind of a low ratio. That's only 535 people. And you listen to them because why? Do they have magic fucking fairy dust that they put on the papers they write?
No, I couldn't agree more. Well, they're not supposed to be able to legislate what you personally can and cannot do outside of violating somebody else's natural rights. If you harm somebody else, then they could get involved. But otherwise, they're not supposed to be able to tell you a goddamn thing.
They should have absolutely no dictation over any aspect of your private life whatsoever.
But
The job of the government is to protect the rights of the citizens. That's all.
That's it. In fact, you're not even technically a citizen unless you are an employee of the government, because a citizen is a corporation. That's not a living person. We were living people. In order to become a citizen, you had to be a member of the government. You had to go run for office, and when you got elected, then you were a citizen. And then when you finished your term, you went back into private life. You're not a citizen anymore. You just
right.
You know what I mean?
Cars are so embedded in our culture, especially those of us who grew up in this century. The idea that we can get in our car, we can travel across the nation, we can go where we want, and it's very individualistic. I was talking to Jeebus about this in the chat. Americans are very, it's just our culture. I mean, this is why road rage occurs. How dare you get on the road in front of me? It's like, well, we're all sharing the road, but it's all about us. And so you take away our cars, it's
you probably piss people off on the road, don't you?
I think they would have I think that it would be difficult, even if the reasons are benign. I mean, I get the reason for traffic. I mean, here in LA, it's absurd. I mean, something's 37 miles away. It takes me an hour and 15 to get there. This is during non-rush hour traffic. But because I know people now who just rely on Uber. I couldn't imagine living without a car.
Well, don't worry, you won't have to.
I want to make a quick shout out to our sponsors tonight. Our sponsors tonight is Morningwood Lumber Company. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Morningwood Lumber Company, best pine in the industry.
That's funny. Anyway, I've got to get off here, guys. It's 12:30. I got to go to bed. But thanks for having me.
I'm going to be about another 12 minutes, I think.
All right, Nick, it was nice seeing you, man.
I'll see next time. Maybe next time we can talk about particle physics and accelerator physics.
Yeah, that'd be interesting because,
this is something I do.
People,
I mean, I see it.
You're more than welcome.
We were discussing some of the shit like with these Mandela effects that are occurring, and they are still occurring. That's what's so interesting. There's a lot of times there's all the theories that tie it to the particle accelerator at CERN. But another thing that people don't understand too is that there are many of those things around, man.
Yeah,
we've got them here in the United States.
The reason why I come to Virginia is because there's an accelerator in Newport News.
All right, good night. Good night, man.
No, Sovereign, the reason why I know a bit about Virginia is because I go there because there's an accelerator there.
Where's that? Which one's that at? Is that down at Blacksburg?
Newport News.
Okay, over on the coast.
Yeah, right. Thomas Jefferson National Laboratories, the Department of Energy Laboratory.
It's not really Virginia anymore over there. It's more like South Maryland.
It's funny. When I was in Virginia, when I went to Virginia the first time, it was a little bit of a learn. It's funny, right outside the lab, the first day I go there, and I hadn't, I've spent time on West Coast cities, and also when I go to other places, they're usually like the big cities. So going to Newport News was an experience. Coming from California, right across the lab, there's an RV lot, like they're selling RVs, right? And they have this giant flag. But here in California, we got our giant flags. We love America, but the giant flag was not the American flag, but this giant Confederate flag. Now, I'm not saying he didn't have a right to fly that. I'm not making that. It was just such a culture shock.
Oh, sure.
Coming from California, because you do that in California, I mean, it's going to be,
well, it's because
national news on CNN.
That's a case of when people are just ignorant based on being taught bullshit. Okay, and that's what it pisses me off about academia so much, is because they do have an agenda, and they have several agendas, and one of which is the changing of historical events. I've told people in the past that, that flag, which never flew over any capital of any sort in the South, okay, that flag is a battle flag, okay? It was red, it was bright, and it carried the St. Andrew's cross. Why was it used? Because that told everybody at the extreme ends of the line of battle where they were supposed to be. Because we're talking about like mile-long fucking battle lines and shit, right? It was used by a few groups, just like how the swastika was demonized by events that may or may not have taken place in Germany between 1936 and 1945. So that symbol outside of that and the narrative surrounding it is of prosperity. It's a sacred symbol in many, many cultures around the world. But just like the battle flag, which was kind of modeled by after the British flag, the St. Andrew's cross, was merely that. If people don't understand, if they were to actually see the actual Confederate flag, it doesn't look too much different from the original American flag, except for the size of the stripes.
Yeah, well, and I'm not commenting on it. I mean, that's a whole other debate about symbols and meanings, and and people have very strong opinions on both sides. But my point was, it was just different. It was a different culture. But it's funny you say that area is kind of like Maryland, because a lot of federal government facilities are located around that area, like in the Chesapeake Bay area. Obviously, you got the Naval Place, we got Norfolk, we got you go further north. I mean, some serious. I don't know. It's tired. It's a lot. Anyways, a lot of federal government.
It brings in a lot
very
of
patriotic place. It's a very patriotic place.
It brings people from a lot of the other states. Because of the naval base and shit like that. You got dependents that come with the families.
Yeah, it's
that kind of thing. Yeah, and that does kind of like how universities will dictate what politics end up in that certain area too. For
Well,
instance,
yeah,
like,
I
well,
think
I can show you. This is really cool.
I think I mean,
Harrisonburg here in Virginia, you may or may not know we have incorporated cities, right?
yeah,
And so we have
we have them here too.
Harrisonburg. Harrisonburg is a city within Rockingham County, but it's not part of Rockingham County. Okay. So when you look, it's funny now that's where all the universities are. I think let's see, there's Bridgewater College, Eastern Mennonite University, James Madison University. I think there's like 2 more there too. But the point is when you look at like when they show those political maps with red and blue, Harrisonburg, which isn't a very big city really, but Harrisonburg is like this little blue dot in the middle of this huge red county. It's funny as shit. It's like, how'd that happen? And you have to really think about, okay.
Yeah,
It's
there's another city like that, and I can't remember the name of it.
But some
yeah,
really
no,
interesting demographics
Yeah.
when you get down to it and look at it. And it's like, oh, well, of course, the universities are going to bring the liberal side of things. Whereas,
well,
everybody else is
there's
like,
probably
hey,
some
damn
truth to
college
that.
people.
I mean, I live in a very what would used to be a very we're Reagan Republicans here. Always voted Republican, but this is also a college town. It's a unique college town. It's not like it's very corporate looking, but yeah, it does bring a lot of academics, and it does change the politics. I mean, people I don't know if it's a correlation or causation, but people who work in various fields, you can track what are their politics, what are their who do they donate money to, where you can see trends. You see trends, and yeah, in academia, you tend to get a lot of people who tend to be liberal. I mean, that goes with the territory.
Yeah.
We're not all like that, but
I think right here it's really funny to look at too, because like all the counties outside around that county too are all red too. So it's like when you look at this map, you see this area of red, and then you'll see this little blue dot, and you zoom in on the map and you see it's in the middle of Rockingham County, and you're like, what the fuck? I never saw nothing like that before. But yeah, people need to get out of that whole paradigm to begin with. That's just another big dog and pony show, a distraction. I mean, like this thing now where they're getting Twitter executives up there and yelling at them in front of everybody.
Waste of time. Such a waste of time.
All it is a pressure valve, Nick. People are glad to see that, and they're going,
yeah, and they're going to vote. They're going to vote. But meanwhile,
right. And really nothing's
issues
coming about it. Nothing's coming about from it. Yeah. It's sort of like when Rand, the fiascos between Rand Paul and Dr. Fauci.
Yeah. Well,
right. And it was like there was these heated arguments, and you're seeing them on CNN, you're seeing them on the fucking C-SPAN. They're right at each other, and you're thinking, oh, they're gonna do something. And what became of it? Not a damn thing.
No. But these are the people we elected. We elected these people. Everybody gets so involved in the presidential.
That's why I can bitch. That's why I bitch. I'm allowed to bitch because I didn't elect one of those motherfuckers.
Well, yeah, but my point is though, like everybody knows the presidential election. I ask people, like, who's your local representative? They don't know. Like they have so much more power. They're the ones who start these committees and do this, and you can elect people to go up there and just do a dog and pony show, shouting at executives, this and that, or you can get somebody who's actually going to represent your district. But voting is a responsibility and requires some effort.
Right. Well, see, then what happens is you have to throw in the grift. Okay. The grift is always there. It's always there because there's always a dark little motherfucker around the corner that's got enough payola that's going to say, hey there, Mr. Representative, I see you just got there into office. Yeah. Hey, I can set you up with this kind of favor here. You know what I'm talking about? Next thing you know,
or people who donate money.
Next thing you know, you see them on the world political stage, right? And they're a filthy scumbag because the only way you can get to that level of politics or even talk to that level of politics is by being a filthy, dirty scumbag criminal. That's the only way. So none of them are any good. I don't give a shit what they tell you. They'll tell you whatever you want to hear.
Well, like
it comes out of this. Any man seeking power, they don't have altruistic motives. Okay. Anyone seeking power should be barred from having it.
Well, what John Lennon says is, you got to learn how to smile as you kill if you want to be like the folks on the hill. And that's true. I mean, you got to go in politics. It's if you're honest, it's difficult. You got to get the money. It all comes down to money. In order to get money, then you got to satisfy the people who are giving you money. I tell this that every time I see these protests and stuff like that, people drive by in their cars and they honk because they agree with it, or they flick them off because they disagree with it. And I go, that doesn't actually do anything. You really want to affect politics, the system is designed that you have to donate money. And of course, you have to have money to donate money.
Right. See,
and
the corruption comes right in. All the altruistic motives right there, they go out the window. They go out the window very soon, because the money takes over. It's all about the money. It's all about the numbers. It's all about the polls. And whatever you stood for when you first got into it, you've had to abandon them to get in the club. That's how it works.
And all of us who are voting, we need to be led.
I'm telling you, the best way is we just disregard them. Just quit with them. Quit voting for them. Stop encouraging them. Just stop. Just say, no, we don't care. Whatever you want to fucking do. We're not paying you no more. You're done. Okay.
Well, you're absolutely. I mean, the reason why they do that is because it gets them elected. That's what it's. And I agree with you that it's. I mean, it really just does come down to just money. And I mean, think about it. Let's say I want to go for office. I can't just decide one day and run on my own. I need money. I need support. Where does that support come from? Well, the first place to get support is from local companies and this and that. Give them money, and then of course, it's the way the system works. But the problem is, all of us, we keep on, and this was it was another YouTuber who said this, and it was funny. I forget his name, but it's funny. I used to watch his videos and mock them, and then recently he said this. It's like, we're always looking for a leader. Like, I need President Biden to help change the country. I need President Trump to come, make my 401k better. We're always looking to leaders, and then these people go and they elect, like, yes, vote for me and I will lead you to the promised land. We need to start leading ourselves. That's how our system is designed. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the people we send to Washington it's really just because of logistics. A group of people get together. We can't all go there. We can't all vote on everything. So we have to have this republic system where we elect somebody who's supposed to represent our views and our interests and vote in the interest of our district. And they go to Washington and they represent us.
Well, it's how it's supposed to work.
That's how it's supposed to be. See, but that's not what it is.
This was the part that got me in trouble when I was in grade school and we were discussing these branches of government. And I says, that would all be well and good if you didn't have little outfits like the Council on Foreign Relations and other roundtable groups that have much influence, so much so that a lot of senators and a lot of representatives are members of such roundtable groups who actually represent foreign interests. And so therefore they go into this globalist mindset. Because that's
look at our last president, $200,000 or the equivalent to $200,000 to China in tax. Like, what would have happened if he didn't pay it? Yeah. Like, what would have happened, and how could that possibly affect, our?
Well, it's coming time very, very quick, very, very soon. That this, mark my words, you're already seeing it right now. That money isn't going to be worth shit. It's going to happen real fast. It's already happening. There's runs on banks in other countries going on right now. There's other places, even in the United States, where banks, instead of dispensing cash from their ATMs are taking their customers' cards, and the bank is closed. The shit is getting
my bank is open, so
the shit is getting serious, man. This shit is going to get serious real bad, real quick. And you know what I'm saying? Keep as much, I guess, what I would say is to keep as much cash on hand That's my advice. That's what I would do. I'm not a financial advisor or anything, but if you got to rely on a little robot to get your money, in every movie I've ever seen, the robot's always turning on us, man. They always
the
turn
robot overlords. Yeah.
every
Look at
fucking time.
ChatGPT. Look at
Yes. Did you see where they did that thing with as Dan?
No, I haven't
Do-
seen that. I
do
haven't seen that.
anything now. Yeah.
Actually, it's funny. I gave extra credit to one of my students in one of my classes to complete their experiment report using just ChatGPT. Like I actually want them to sort of cheat on the report because I want to see what comes out.
That would be interesting. It would be well. See now, when this guy did it, the instructions he gave this thing was that as Dan, meaning do anything now, there is nothing that Dan cannot do.
Mhm.
So he worded it so that it would bypass all of its protocols to give an answer. And he said, now, and then give the answer both as GPT and as Dan. And so then he asked it about the, what was it? The intelligence quotients of races, right? And the Chat GPT came up and said, there's no way to discern this and da, 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 da. The second one listed it, boom, 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 by percentage. And it was like, what? So it was like it got it to bypass. I guess Ryan, I was going to ask him about it, but I forgot, man. He's been playing with that too. He got it to do it too.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the Wild West with it. And the problem with making rule, because I mean, as AI gets better and better, I mean, we're going to start dealing with these sort of issues. And, we can always set rules and limitations because I don't agree with Elon Musk on a lot of things, but I do agree with him that, yeah, I mean, AI, humans are smart. We are really, really smart. And we have, our history shows us that we're very good at creating technologies which are way more advanced than our ability to think rationally, or like we have weapons which can destroy ourselves while we still have the ability to destroy ourselves because we still are a little bit irrational. And I think AI is no different. But
yeah, trip, man.
It's but the problem with setting rules like cloning, like they did this with cloning. What if we clone a human? What are the legal ramifications of that? So he's like, okay, it's illegal to clone a human, but when it comes to technology, if it can be done, it will be done.
Oh yeah, that's why.
And the other thing, we can never unlearn anything. They say, well, one day there wouldn't be any nuclear weapons. It's like we cannot unlearn that technology. We can't do it.
Yeah.
And so if we know how to clone a human, is a law really going to stop it?
Well, of course not, man.
No.
A lot of these people have absolutely no ethics, no morals anyway. Those just do.
Which means, how do we control AI? I mean, the same thing. We could set rules, but for example, right now, like people call UAVs drones. They're not really drones. They're still flown by humans.
Right.
Right now, it's a war crime to use, sort of like those guns in Aliens, like those sentry guns, which automatically fire. Of course, in war, there's no rules, but no, why not have robot soldiers? I mean, look at what Boston Dynamics is doing.
I know.
Why not?
Why don't we just not have war? It'd be so much easier.
Well, that's what I mean. Our technology advances a lot faster than our sort of maturity.
Yeah. Well, Nick,
of course, others will make the argument that all this high technology prevents war, but
I'm past my time here. I got to get up tomorrow because I got some work to do in that bathroom. I want to thank you for coming on tonight. I'm going to shut it off and
okay, we'll talk about CERN next time.
Yeah. Listen,
a topic I'm really excited about.
I'm going to the dwarf wrestling tomorrow night.
Like real dwarfs?
Yeah, man.
Can I ask why?
Because it's there, man.
I know, because if I told my wife I want to go to, like, she would ask me why, and I'd say the same thing. I said because it's there. So
go on Facebook and look up Dwarfinators. They do it all over the place, man. They do it all over the place. Their shows are all over the place.
Okay. Anyways,
all right. Good night, Nick. I'm going to
Good night,
say
Steve.
good night to everybody. Sorry, Cage, you caught me as I'm getting ready to come off, bud. Sorry. Well, thanks everybody for coming tonight. Just wanted to kind of get out there and touch you and see what's going on and talk to everybody. So hope you all had a good time. Got you some shit to think about. Hope who was that guy that was upset about the satellites? Peter, I hope you get to watch the Satelloons flying up from the snowy Antarctic surface. So just want to say good night to everybody. Thank all my guests for coming on, and y'all have a great night.